Happy Monday. It's the Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for joining us. We got so much stuff to get to today. Nobody does Indiana news and politics and government like us. Coming up in just a little bit. Remember last year after the property tax bill, it was a debacle. It failed. The governor stabbed all of us in the back. And then shortly after that, there was this announcement that he was having these meetings with these conservative activists. And you guys who are longtime listeners of the old radio show, remember I was screaming about this, telling these people, don't go. Don't do it. Don't go. Don't be a part of it. You're being used. He's not going to help you. If he cared about helping you, he would have vetoed the bill. He is using you as a lifeline to bail himself out. He wants to feed you people a line of BS and then have you come back and go, oh, Braun's a great guy. He listens to us. He loves us. He cares about us. And then all those people got mad at me. And look, here's the reality of this. I know these people better than they know themselves, and I knew what was going on, and all those people got mad at me, and Rob's just bitter about the property. And I said, no, I'm not. Well, I am bitter about that, but I don't want you people to be used. Well, there's one member of that group who went to a couple meetings that he was like, I seen's enough. I ain't going no more. And he's going to be with us today. Jay Hart is his name. He is going to detail what it is like to go to the governor's residence, to meet with the governor. He's going to talk about why he left this group, why he got out of the group, what exactly went on, why the Republicans don't deliver. Because you guys hear this stuff from me all the time, and you're like, well, it's just Rob. He's a bitter. He's a broken record, blah, blah, blah. So I thought, well, let's hear from somebody else who, even after getting screwed, even after getting lied to, even after getting stabbed in the back, still had some optimism, still had some hope to the point where he went to the meetings. You'll find out what exactly went on in the meetings, why the Republicans don't deliver. That's the core of all of it, is that the Republicans do not deliver. And I think the biggest reason of all, the Republicans don't deliver, they don't feel like they have to. The Republicans don't feel like they have to deliver for you because they don't fear the alternative. And that's what Greg Ballard's all about. They are scared to death of Greg Ballard because Greg Ballard, not necessarily an alternative to, hey, we're worried he's going to win the election. But Greg Ballard gives enough people a viable option for two things. One, he's going to probably deliver enough votes that he makes the election very competitive across the board, including for Bo Bai, the Democrat. And two, he delivers enough of an option that enough people are probably likely to vote for him that a third political party with the primary ballot access gets for him. And Michael Hicks, columnist for the Indy Star, had a column about just this, about Ballard and what he represents, which we're going to talk about in just a little bit. But it's just like any part of your life, most people's lives. When do they work the hardest? When they have something to gain or something to lose by not doing it. When you have something to gain or you have something to lose, you're motivated to go out and perform. It's human instinct. It's human nature. Look, I speak from my own experience. Towards the end of the radio show, for a variety of reasons, it wasn't what it was when I started. Numbers were still great. We were still producing. But there just wasn't the motivation. There wasn't the incentive to go out there and deliver every day. Here, there's incentive every day. We are fighting with both hands tied behind our back with a little engine that could. And so we come in here and we are motivated and we put the time in every single day. And I don't know, you've seen some of the numbers that have been put out there. We produce. So we'll get into that. And this conversation with Jay Hart is going to be fascinating about how the Republicans don't deliver, what this group was trying to accomplish, why it was formed, why they went to the meetings, and how the Republicans don't deliver. Nobody does Indiana news, politics, and government like us. We've got mostly 3 hours of that coming up for you today. But I did want to start with, because I think this is such a big story. And we don't, like I said, we don't do a ton of national stuff, but we do if it's very, very relevant and we can bring it back home. And I think this first story is to a point now where as much coverage as it's gotten, probably not enough. And that is Mitch McConnell. The Mitch McConnell stuff has reached a point of ridiculous beyond expression. We have a U.S. senator that other than a few supposed conversations that he's had with people on the telephone, we don't know if he's alive. You see a photo, and there's all sorts of questions about the photo, and it's gotten to the point now with Mitch McConnell where it is so ridiculous. A photo popped up of him with somebody, and people start looking at it and pointing out all of the things that are wrong with the photo, like blatantly obvious incorrect things. And then all of a sudden somebody goes, well, wait a second. Mitch McConnell didn't put this photo out. Where did it come from? And then everybody's like, yeah, where did this photo come from? And it has essentially been proven now, or believed to be proven, that it's a manufactured photo. It's an AI photo. However, we've gotten to a point with Mitch McConnell where it's so ridiculous. A U.S. senator, we don't know if he's alive or not. And if he is alive, we don't know what sort of condition he's in. To the point where seemingly now an AI photo can be produced and everybody buys into it and then starts disproving an AI photo. That's where we're at now. People have spent days, because when this photo first surfaced, I start looking, I'm like, who put this photo out? Who is this guy in the photo with McConnell? I don't see anywhere where McConnell's backed this photo up. But everybody spent days like, this is wrong, and look at this, and this is off, and this is made. Yeah, it's a manufactured photo, but it wasn't put out by McConnell. This is ridiculous that a U.S. senator will not provide tangible proof of life. As in, like, hi, I'm Mitch McConnell. Here's me. Here's where I'm at. Here's what I'm doing. Here's me walking around, whatever. Like, just give me 2 minutes. Just give me 2 lousy, stinking minutes of you proving you're alive and that you have some semblance of ability to speak and express for yourself, think for yourself, and show me that you intend to return soon to the office that you hold. They won't do it. So the governor of Kentucky, Andy Beshear, was on with Katie Couric. And, of course, remember a couple weeks ago, he sent the letter to McConnell's office demanding proof of life. And, yes, Andy Beshear is a Democrat. But I'm Team Andy Beshear on this because we should know that somebody's alive. And we have yet to see, other than this one picture, which a bunch of people think is very suspect. Now, I get it's the internet. It's 2026. No matter what you put out. I mean, there may be people who see this video right now going, Rob Kendall looks suspicious today. I don't believe he's even alive. And so no matter what you do or what you produce, people are going to be suspect of it. They're going to try to point out flaws in it or whatever. But in this case, I am 100% with the governor that this has been handled so poorly. There's been such a lack of transparency. There's been such a lack of accountability from McConnell and his people that the governor was right, because the governor, as the chief executive officer of the state, needs to know whether he needs to call a special election, which is what would have to happen if the office is vacated before August 3rd. He has the right to know. He's not asking for anything other than prove you're alive and that you can think for yourself. And McConnell's people will not do that. So Andy Beshear was on with Katie Couric, and he said multiple agencies had contacted him telling him McConnell had passed away. Here is the governor of Kentucky talking with Mitch McConnell talking with Katie Couric about being told Mitch McConnell is no longer with us.
It had been a month before anything had been put out, not even an official statement from Senator McConnell. In fact, I've gotten 2 calls from different agencies, not state agencies, suggesting he'd passed.
Yes, thank you. Plugging those in will allow me to hear it. That'd be very helpful. Thank you. So that's where we're at, guys. We're now at a point where the governor of Kentucky claims in an interview with a national journalist, reporter, whatever you want to call Katie Couric these days, that multiple agencies have told him Mitch McConnell's passed away. He sends a letter, which I thought the letter was very fair, essentially just saying, hey, can you please prove you're alive? Can you please show me something, like a video, 30 seconds. Here's me walking around. Here's me whatever. And they won't do it. It's an insult to all the people of Kentucky, and it is really an indictment of where we are in our society, that we have no proof that a U.S. senator is even alive, is capable of functioning on his own, to the point where an AI-generated photo appears to have fooled the world, and the people are picking apart a photo that wasn't even put out by Mitch McConnell. That's where we're at. All right. A couple other pieces of audio I want to get to today, and then we're basically going all local the entire rest of the show. But there's some really important stuff, some things that happened over the weekend that I wanted to make sure to play for you guys. So Bill Maher. You guys know Bill Maher. He's a liberal. He's the host of the Real Time with Bill Maher on HBO. He's got a podcast as well. And Bill Maher is interesting to me because Maher is a liberal. But Maher also recognizes what's going on in the Democrat Party and has been going on in the Democrat Party for quite some time far exceeds liberalism. It's insanity, and as we have said, it is a takeover of the party by communists. Communists are taking over the Democrat Party. And Maher's interesting because Maher fed this beast. Bill Maher is a part of the group of people who for years egged these people on because he hated Donald Trump. It's like Dr. Frankenstein and the monster. He helped create the monster, and then the monster got too big. The monster got too out of control. And what Maher recognized very quickly is, oh crap, I'm a 60s guy, a white guy, 60-year-old plus white guy who tells funny jokes and makes observations about humans. You know how comedy used to be? Well, the thing about the communists and the socialists is it's like Pac-Man. They have to keep eating. They have to keep going. They always have to have some person who has offended them, some person who has aggrieved them, some person who is to blame, because we know communism, socialism, it never fixes anything. It never makes anything any better. It just keeps taking from people. And other than the tippy top people, it makes things worse for everybody else. But you always have to have somebody to blame. And a guy like Maher recognized pretty quickly when it was getting out of hand, and I'm talking years ago with this, they will come for me eventually, especially as he watched all of his buddies get taken down in the Me Too movement and all these other things in which, you know, the comedians left and right have been taken down. And then he expanded out and obviously went far beyond Me Too. And then anybody who tells jokes or anybody who's funny or anything started getting swallowed up. And so Maher has been, for the past several years, a very vocal critic of the hard left. Much of it's done out of a sense of survival, but he has made some good points along the way, and he's a good person to do it because he's not a conservative, he's a liberal, about how radical these new Democrats are. So he was on, I believe this was with ABC that he was on, and Maher says because of the rise of the communists in the Democrat Party and how radical the Democrats as a party are becoming, his vote is now in play. Because he knows it won't be Trump, he is open to voting Republican, including J.D. Vance. Take a listen.
My vote is in play because it can't be Trump running. Mm-hmm. So I'm not living in communist America.
You told J.D. Vance you're open, your vote is up for grabs.
Yes, my vote is in play because it can't be Trump running. Mm-hmm. So I'm not living in communist America. I mean, I know the talking point is that, well, it's not communism, it's socialism. Okay, I've read the quotes from the DSA platform, from their own mouths. Don't tell me I'm not seeing what I am seeing. And DSA, again, they say things like, you know, takeover of key industries, government. That's communism. You know, there is a definition.
By the way, Trump's doing that too.
Of course. Yes.
And to a degree that we haven't seen any other president, Democrat or Republican, do.
That's crazy too.
He's got a piece of intel,
right?
A piece of the AI companies.
He treats everything like it's a real estate deal, or I don't know, he's an agent or something. He always wants 10 or 15%.
So you want to see Democrats win in the midterms?
Absolutely, and they will, because it will still be a referendum on Trump. So I think the Democrats will do very well in the midterms. 2028 is a different story because by then, this wing of the party, this new wing with all the energy, and it's not just a few people anymore. Every day I read about a new person in some Colorado and Wisconsin, somebody who is saying some variation of not defund the police, abolish. the police. No prisons, no police. Like, what world did they think we could possibly live in under these conditions? It's just a level of nutty that I'm so glad that whenever it was, I was like, no, I'm not going along, because this is where it ends.
Could you see yourself voting for J.D. Vance?
Yes. If this is the Democratic side, yes.
So I'm torn on this, because on one hand, he's absolutely right about who these people are, about what they've become, about what they represent, about what they are, about what they're going to be, about where they're going to take the country. The problem is he created them. Guys like him egged these people on. Look, if you look at sort of the elevation of the radical left, it basically started in this country, at least in terms of prominence. Now, there were always people who were left, there were always people who were radical left. But if you look at the prominent rise of the radical left Democrats inside the Democrat Party, the socialist, the communist people, it all started with Bush and that election in 2000. I mean, kind of the precipice to it was Clinton and the Clinton impeachment, and then Bush and the election. And within basically a 2.5-year span, you've got the impeachment of Clinton and then the election where the Democrats, the left, believed that the Republicans stole the election. And you started to see in the wake of that, these types of people start to get their voices elevated. The Democrat primaries, the Democrat Party really changed. I mean, you think about the nominees that they've had since then. They got Kerry in 2004, but who was the leader early on? It was Dean. And what was Dean running as until he had the meltdown? He was running as a radical leftist. He was big left and was leading throughout much of the Democrat primary. Ultimately, Kerry gets the nomination. But that was the first primary post-2000 election for the Democrats, and you saw where a huge portion of the party started to go. You had Obama, who was obviously huge left in 2008 and obviously then 2012. You had Hillary, who was... I mean, Hillary is big left. She's corporate big left, but she is big left. And the Democrats would have gone with Bernie Sanders if Hillary hadn't stolen the election from him. There appears to be irrefutable evidence that was presented in the wake of 2016 that Hillary and the establishment Democrats stole the election from Bernie Sanders. They took it from him, rigged it against him. I don't have time to go into it now, but you guys go back and remember all that with debates and everything else that was clear. It was totally rigged in her favor. The Democrats could have, all things being equal, on a level playing field, have actually nominated Bernie Sanders in 2016. Probably would have gone better for him than it did with Hillary. You look at 2020, I think had COVID not happened, I think it would have been Bernie Sanders. I think the country was craving some level of normalcy, and the fact that they basically shut the campaigns down, it made it easier for Biden. You look at what the Democrat Party did, like in South Carolina, this organized effort to stop Bernie Sanders. And then you go to 24, where Biden campaigns as this sort of moderate return to normalcy candidate, governs as a complete leftist, and then when they get him out because he doesn't know what day it is, they go with Kamala. I mean, this has happened over time. The problem for a guy like Maher is you created it. You put it out there. You emboldened these people. You egged them on for years. So it's a bit of crocodile tears when you talk about what it's become and how you don't want any part of it. What did you think was going to happen? You thought these people were just going to stop someday, somehow, some way? Maher's a smart guy. He's very smart, very intelligent. I'm sure he knows history. And if he knows history, which he does, you know the communists, the socialist people, they never stop. They can't stop because it never can be enough. Someone always has to be the offending party. And eventually, you run out of Republicans or conservatives or whatever to be the offending party, and then it has to start being your side that's the offending party, and that's what you're seeing now. You're seeing the left eat its own. You're seeing the left eat the Democrats, which brings me to my next clip, in which Maher says the thing that I've been saying for a long time now, The Democrats are being taken over by the lunatics, and the base of the Democrat, or the power structure of the Democrat Party, the rank and file of the Democrat Party, the quote-unquote moderates of the Democrat Party are too afraid to step in and stop them, and it's going to get out of control very quick. Here's Mar on that. Take a listen.
I mean, you get some Democrats.
Democrats are cowardly.
Yeah.
They're cowardly. Their party is being taken over now by, every day I hear about a new, very radical. I feel very good about, like 10 whenever years ago, like I did lose fans because, I wasn't going to go along with some of this crazy stuff on the left, too. I didn't change really on what I thought about the right, but just I can't sit and just not notice stuff, which people seem to want to do because it's all about my team or your team. But, yeah, there's some crazy stuff, when we're cheering for the Intifada. I got to cut. I'm out.
Well, I don't know if you saw Jay Clayton.
See, it's hypocrisy, though, because 10 years ago, which would have been 2016, it was obvious the anti-Trump people what they were. And the only logical conclusion is that behavior continues to escalate, which it has. And so when you egg these people on, when you say all these horrible things about Trump, which Mar has in the past, then you can't be beside yourself or act surprised or upset or whatever that a bunch of crazy people did crazy stuff. That's not how this game works. The monster is on the loose. There is no putting the genie back in the bottle. These people are taking over the Democrat Party. And I think what a guy like Mar recognizes is the Democrats then become unelectable in big pockets of the country because a bunch of people, at least for now, they will get worn down over time because this is how socialism and communism works if you study the history of it. It comes in spurts, and over time, it just wears people down. And it takes over everything because the communists, the socialists, they never stop. They can't stop. But what Mar recognizes in the immediate future is it will lead to the election of more Republicans, including now he's saying maybe even himself voting for Republicans, because people look at this, especially in middle America or swing states, and at least still for now go, no, thank you. I don't like the Republicans. It's exactly what I've talked about with the Democrats in Indiana for years. I want the Democrats to get their act together, not because I want Democrats to be elected, but because I want them to pose some sort of viable alternative to the Republicans so they'll stop governing us the way they have, the way they do. They operate in the fashion that they have and do in Indiana because they don't fear losing. Fetterman, who has become, this is amazing when you look at how he governed in Pennsylvania as lieutenant governor, how he campaigned in Pennsylvania. If you look at who Fetterman was then to where he is now, it's crazy. But Fetterman was on Fox Business, and he got asked, did you guys see this? The mayor of New York, Mamdani, has alluded to the fact that when Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, comes to New York for the UN later this year, that he is open to seeing if he can arrest Netanyahu. He said this publicly. It's not like some closed door thing or behind the curtain look or somebody got a recorder snuck in. He is saying this openly, that he is open to arresting Netanyahu when he comes to the United Nations meeting in New York. And so Fetterman gets asked about this and says basically the same thing Mar's saying. These people are completely insane and no one should take them serious. Take a listen.
Senator, it complicates things that you've got these very far left candidates winning and socialists now in leadership positions. You've got the mayor of New York, Zoran Mamdani, threatening that he will have Benjamin Netanyahu arrested if he comes to New York for the UN General UNGA, which is happening in September. What are your thoughts here on Mamdani threatening to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he comes to the U.S.?
It's such a tough guy to say that kind of thing. He has no way to do that. Of course, obviously, America's not even part of that corrupt court. And so he's just a clown to even say that. So he won't try that. And I'll just sit down and focus on the problems that they have in New York. That's really not your purview. You and I know that. Sit down.
Yeah, the problem is he might try it. I mean, this is not about governance anymore. It's not about governance on either side. That is the thing that's being lost in all of this, on the right or the left. There is no more conversation about governance anymore. It is absolute extremism on both sides designed to rile up what exists of ever-shrinking bases in both parties. The conversations are never about betterment of the life of you on either side. The conversation is always about fringe issues that matter to the extremists of both parties, and the people collectively get left out of the conversation or get left out of any benefit of whatever the enacted policy is. So when Fetterman says something like he won't do that, I wouldn't be so sure. Because this is how the communists operate. What are you going to... I do it, and then what? You're going to what to me? I think Fetterman is being very naive not to think this is going to happen. All right, final clip. And then we're basically going to be all local the entire rest of the show. Or at least that's my goal. AOC was in Michigan campaigning for this guy, El Said, who's running for Senate. So Michigan has a Senate race that's up. Rogers is going to be the Republican nominee. He's a U.S. rep, and that's almost guaranteed in the bag that he's going to be the nominee. Michigan has a contested primary in which they have a more moderate candidate running against this far-left radical El Said. El Said is the guy who got caught lying about being a doctor. Claimed he was a doctor. He's never practiced. He has a medical degree, but he's never done anything with it. But he's a maniac. He's a Mamdani type maniac. And of course, so AOC is there campaigning for him. But I want you to listen. It's about a minute of audio. And I am loath to say anything nice about AOC. And if you remove the fact that then it's about a 3-minute clip, the next couple of minutes is her campaigning for this idiot. Just take the first minute of AOC attacking how politics works. And if you take away the fact that the next minute, which we're not going to play the whole thing, is her then she pivots into campaigning for this nutbag, El Said, the way she describes the system itself, I think she sums it up pretty well on both sides about how our system now operates for the rich, for the powerful, against regular people. Take a listen.
Big money is flooding our political system more than ever before. Now, big money is flooding our political system more than ever before to make sure that none of this ever changes. Because that's always been their reliable playbook. Special interests, the people making us sick, are dump millions of dollars for their candidate, flood our airways with ads and our mailboxes with glossy postcards a couple weeks before an election, and they just think that people will go their way. But when the stakes are so high, when more people than ever are living so close to the bone, eventually we have to ask ourselves, is the answer to our problems to turn to the same playbook over and over again?
Look, again, if you can just remove the fact that the next several minutes is her saying this socialist nutbag is the answer, she actually does a pretty good job of summing up the system in which big money has so infiltrated our politics that regular people have almost no shot. And then when regular people do succeed, they get completely demonized and taken out. The system is rigged. The system is rigged to operate as it's always operated, because as it's always operated is best for business. It's best for the rich. It's best for the powerful. It's best for the tippy-top people. It's bad for us. But basically what she's saying there, and she's right, is if we're going to be silly enough to keep voting for the same people, then you deserve the same result. Now, AOC and I view it 9 million miles different on what the alternative should be and how that should look. But she's right in the premise of you keep voting for incumbents the way you always have, you're going to get the results you always have, because these people are invested in the status quo. Why wouldn't they be? They care about power. They have obtained power with the status quo. Of course, they're going to want that to continue. It's one of those weird clips where it's like, well, she is right. And then 20 seconds later, she pivots and you go, oh, well, you're mentally ill. But on that thing, you are absolutely right. I thought she summed it up pretty good. All right, let's get to some housekeeping items, guys. Number one, if you haven't done so yet, help us out. Help us grow this program. Like, share, and subscribe. Really easy things that you can do to help us grow the Rob Kendall Show. Number one, hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't done so yet, give us the thumbs up. Whether you're watching us live or on demand on YouTube, that really helps us grow the program. Number two, share the feed out. If you got a Twitter, if you got a Facebook, let people know we're here. We're totally dependent upon organic growth, which has been great, but it is totally dependent on you guys sharing the feed out, letting people know about us, telling people about the Rob Kendall Show. And number three, subscribe to the channel. Whatever platform you're listening to us on, whatever platform you're watching us on. And by the way, hello to you fabulous people, thousands of you every day who check us out via the on-demand platforms, Apple, iHeart, Spotify, of course, the YouTube as well. Thank you to you who watch us on demand. You don't get enough love, but we love you. You guys are amazing. Subscribe to those feeds. Like, share, and subscribe. That's how you can do your little part every day to help grow the Rob Kendall Show. A couple of other things. Reminders. Let's see. Number one, big event, October the 3rd, at the House of John Rust. John Rust is having a party for the fabulous viewers and listeners of the Rob Kendall Show. There's no cost to attend. It's a palatial estate. We think you'll love it. I've never been there, but I've heard it's very nice. And I'll be there October the 3rd. It is celebration of America's 250th birthday, and we're going to have patriotic music, antique car show, lunch catered by Double D's, birthday cake for Jason's birthday. I'm going to give a little speech about how awesome the country is and a whole lot more. Invited to attend. It's totally free, no cost. Come hang out with us. Have some fun. Starts at noon. All you got to do is RSVP at rustforamerica@gmail.com. rustforamerica@gmail.com. Let John know, hey, my name is Billy so-and-so, and I'm coming, and my wife's coming, my two kids are coming. Kids are welcome, by the way. rustforamerica@gmail.com. Come hang out with us on October the 3rd. Also want to thank our guy, Kevin Branham, friend of the show extraordinaire. He hit the support button over at robkendallshow.com over the weekend. Kevin's always super generous. If you like what we do, if you want to keep this train rolling, we've got a support button up, robkendallshow.com, whether it's $1, $10, $50, whatever number you think we're worth. We appreciate every single person. Hit the support button over at robkendallshow.com. All right, let's take a break. We've got so much to get to, including school board races. Oh, the school board races. We were told that this new bill that was going to allow people to identify as Republican or Democrat was going to fix some issues with the school board races. Turns out, as we predicted, it ain't fixing nothing. We'll tell you the details. When we come back, don't go anywhere. You're watching Rob Kendall Show. Do you have a dog but don't have a fenced-in yard? Your HOA won't allow a fence? Worried about having to watch your furry friend anytime you go outside? Avoid the blazing hot summers and freezing cold winters with All-American Dog Fence. All-American Dog Fence is the cost-effective, easy-to-use, in-ground fence system to keep your dog secure and give you peace of mind anytime they're outside. All-American Dog Fence backs their Pet Stop products with a lifetime warranty. Call or text All-American Dog Fence at 317-862-6606 or visit their website at allamericandogfence.com. Mention the Rob Kendall Show and get $200 off a new installation.
DC politicians don't care. Buying stocks with insider information, they get filthy rich. But if you did it, you'd get locked up. Thankfully, there's one fighter on our side. Senator Todd Young is pushing to ban all congressional stock trading forever. He's never traded a single stock while in Congress. Young's a Marine who does the right thing. Contact Senator Todd Young. Thank him for standing up for us and for fighting to ban congressional stock trading.
Buying a home or thinking about refinancing? Work with someone local who understands the central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homebuyers and homeowners explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating higher interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance, so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more or get started today. You've got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no-obligation quote, 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender.
Guys, welcome back. It is the Rob Kendall Show. Happy Monday. Thanks for being with us. Coming up here just a little bit, we're going to have conservative activist Jay Hart with us. He was a part of that group. They got invited to the governor's residence last year for the big meetings after the property tax bill fell apart, and Braun was making some big pledges. And, well, Jay went to a couple of those meetings and said, nah, that's not for me. And so we're going to find out, what actually went on in there. Why do Republicans fail to deliver? And when will more people like Jay say that's enough? I can only accept so much non-delivery. So that's coming up in just a little bit. That'll be fascinating to go inside. What it's like to go to the governor's residence. What's it like to have a meeting with the governor, face-to-face with the governor. What went on in there? So that's coming up here in just a little bit. New sponsor for the Rob Kendall Show, Anthony Gary. He owns Indy Dwell Real Estate, and he doesn't just list homes for sale. He gets them noticed, shown, and sold without you losing sleep or sanity. Anthony is trained with the top negotiators on earth and is ready to help you achieve your real estate goals. You'll never be handed off to an administrator. You get Anthony from start to finish and beyond. Put Anthony's expertise, selling, strategy, and experience to work for you. Call or text Anthony Gary, Indy Dwell Real Estate, 317-756-1159, 317-756-1159. Speaking of Anthony, he's going to be with us tomorrow. He has crunched some numbers on a whole bunch of these school referendums across central Indiana. And he's got some real dollar values in these communities about what it's going to cost you if they pass. Schools are great about this. It's a so-and-so percent, or it's so many cents per $100 of assessed value. Anthony's taken the time. He's crunched the numbers. He's a great conservative, and he has said, here's what it's going to cost if you live in Beech Grove. Here's what's going to cost if you live in Noblesville. Here's what's going to cost if you live in Hamilton Southeastern. All of these different places. He will be with us tomorrow to lay out the numbers on what it's going to cost you if those referendums, which are happening all over the state this year, if they pass. Anthony Gary, Indy Dwell Real Estate, 317-756-1159. Yeah, some people have mentioned we are running an ad for a group that's supporting Todd Young. You know why we're doing that? Because as we've said, we accept money from anybody. We're open about it. And you know why they're running ads? Because it works. Advertising on this show works. That's why people do it. I know some people are like, the show Rob's doing is kind of goofy. I don't understand what he's doing. Well, the people who are in the know do. And I'll tell you what, the issue that Young is talking about, or the group that's talking about Young in the ad, that's supporting Young in the ad, I wholeheartedly agree with. You guys know we've talked about this before. That is the need to ban stock trading for members of Congress. There is zero reason that members of Congress should be able to profit off being in Congress and having insider information and making choices with the U.S. economy that benefit themselves. And whatever criticisms I've had of Todd Young, he has been the leader, the most vocal person on banning stock trading from members of Congress. And look, there are two things that I think will do a whole bunch to clean up our government. And I'm not sure what the odds of them happening are. Number one, what Young's talking about. Stop the ability of members of Congress and the president to be able to make money while they're in office. If you don't want to work for the pay that you get, then don't do the job. Somebody else will. Too many people go into the government as regular people and they come out gajillionaires. That's ridiculous. That should never happen. There's so many people who would love to go represent their country and not do it for the money. You get paid a salary. You get benefits for being there. If that's not good enough for you, don't do it. That's the first thing. Clean up the stock trading like Young is proposing. The second thing that would clean up our government is term limits. You get rid of the career politicians. You get rid of the people being in office for 40 years. And stop letting people make money off of being in Congress. Those are the two things that will clean up our government. All right, let's get to some local stuff because, nobody does local like us. And we start with, look, this is a potentially massive story. Depending on what actually gets revealed here, this could be a massive story. It came down on Friday. I'm working off an article from the Indy Star. Numerous other publications covered this. Andy Card, who has played a big role in several large Indiana sports developments, often with huge government buy-in, had his Westfield home raided by the FBI. Look, I've said this for years. Government should do certain things, and that's it. Like, there's basic things. I saw Abdul, and some people were like, well, Rob's going at Abdul over the weekend. Well, if you're going to post on social media, it's no different than us being here on Statehouse Happenings. I don't feel bad disagreeing with you on social media if you're posting something on social media, because Abdul and I disagree on Statehouse Happenings all the time. And Abdul posted this thing about the plan to get rid of property taxes. And look, I'm against J.D. Prescott's plan because it raises taxes. But Abdul never wants to seem to not acknowledge that local governments can make cuts. And I will tell you, as a former member of local government who cut property tax rates 18.5% in 4 years and beat a school referendum, you could cut the money to local governments in half and they'd be fine if you actually forced them to budget and prioritize properly. And I'm not just talking schools. I'm talking cities. I'm talking towns. I'm talking counties. I'm talking the library, the fire territories, all of these people. Now, the problem is if you cut their money, they would make you feel the pain where it would hurt you the most, because that's what government does all the time. When they don't get what they want, they make people feel pain versus just budgeting better. And one of the government, there are certain things government should be doing. It's roads, it's bridges, it's sidewalks, it's water, it's sewer, it's public safety, the police, the fire, and taking care of the most vulnerable, like the severely disabled. Those are things government should do. Beyond that, especially at a local level, not much. But the government now is in all of these other things at a local level. And one of the things, and I've been screaming about this for years, that it is a disaster waiting to happen, and now it's playing out, is them getting into the sports arena business. And it goes way beyond just what we're talking about, like the big ones like Lucas Oil Stadium or Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Look, Lucas Oil Stadium has been a financial dumpster fire. Tomorrow, there's a new op-ed out in the Capitol Chronicle about what a dumpster fire from an economic standpoint the Bears Stadium would be. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. But the sports stadium, or even if you go beyond sports stadiums, the swimming pools, the rec centers, the amphitheaters, none of those are things that government should be involved in. They're not going to do them well. There's nothing about government that it says we're set up to run rec centers or swimming pools or amphitheaters or sports stadiums. Nothing. There is zero in the structure of government that says, yeah, you guys are qualified to run those things well. And yet, because government has confiscated so much money there's so much being paid in taxes. They have branched out, instead of doing what was right, and say, here's what we need. Here's how we operate. Everything else goes back to you. And you're seeing this at the state level, right? We're going to have Nikki Kelly was with us on Friday. They're going to have a $5 billion surplus next year. What are they going to do? They're going to spend it. They're not going to give it back to you. Never mind, they raised taxes by $1 billion last year to fund the government year over year. They're not going to give it back to you. They're going to spend it. And not well. And so what government does is it keeps looking on ways it can grow, and then when it grows beyond where it should be, then it becomes the baseline. Hey, this is us now, right? It's like the TV show, This Is Us. And the baseline then becomes whatever new project they've instituted. Who are you to cut from us? Well, we instituted this project. Well, why did you institute the project? Well, we did, so now it's the baseline. And the government has no idea how to operate sports arenas or rec centers or swimming pools or sports stadiums. And so you run a numerous risks when you engage in these. One of the risks you engage in is, who do you partner with to create the thing? Because you can't create the thing. Now, Card, and so eventually you end up getting in bed with people like Andy Card, who I'm going to describe to you here. Now, Andy Card is a known quantity in Indiana when it comes to building sports-type complexes. The biggest one that he's most associated with is probably the Pacers Athletic Center in Westfield. By the way, Card was part of a group who tried to take over Grand Park in Westfield a couple of years ago and almost got it. FBI Public Affairs Officer Chris Bavender said via email the agency conducted a, quote, court-authorized law enforcement activity at Card's home and business on July 16th, but said she could not provide additional details. Now, based on other reporting, it is believed that the raid was tied to a home in Florida and a Mishawaka City Finance Fieldhouse project. Now, it is believed Card used money that he obtained from a Mishawaka project to pay for the home in Florida. One of the things, and you've seen this like with Lucas Oil Stadium, it is very hard, if not impossible, to track all the money, right? The return on investment, ROI. And it's hard to track the finances, period. I mean, we've been able to bring you information that's been dug out over time of the hundreds of millions of dollars that are still owed on Lucas Oil Stadium 20 years after it's been built. We know things like we were paying on the RCA Dome more than a decade after it was demolished. But the actual nuts and bolts and finances of these things, almost impossible. You got to have people who really know what they're doing. And it takes a lot of time to pour through these documents. The raid took place on the same day that the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Indiana submitted a filing for an asset forfeiture for a 4-bedroom, 6-bathroom waterfront home belonging to Card and his wife on Marco Island, Florida. Forfeiture documents allege that Card fraudulently used money from the City Finance Mishawaka Fieldhouse project to help pay for the purchase of a $6.6 million waterfront home. Court records say that the scheme took place over a 2-year period from October of 2022 through October of 2024. The city of Mishawaka hired Card's company to develop the $38 million indoor athletic facility with hardwood courts and turf fields. Funding for the project involved tax increment financing and an economic development grant. Now, Card is way bigger than just what's being reported here. Other news media outlets have reported that Card & Associates' portfolio also includes the Farmers Bank Fieldhouse in Lebanon, Precision Garage Door Fieldhouse in Noblesville, Community Sports and Wellness Center in Pendleton, in addition to the Pacers facility in Westfield, and Mishawaka Fieldhouse in Mishawaka. So all over the state, huge projects. And this is one of the things that I have been screaming about with the government being involved either through public-private partnership or directly involved in these sports facilities. They're not cut out to do them. They're not. Governments can barely run parks, much less field houses. And when I talk about run them, I'm talking about from, to steal another phrase from somewhere else, conception to live birth. And then after the thing has been constructed, they have no business doing it. None whatsoever. As a developer, Card signed an agreement that with the exception of his fee, the public funding would only be used for the city project, according to the Star. But the forfeiture documents say Card didn't honor the agreement. Instead, he made multiple requests for disbursements to cover construction expenses and then transfer those funds into personal accounts. Government cannot oversee these things. Government cannot oversee government as it exists right now. They have zero reason to be in the public stadium business, in the stadium business, period, or the rec center business, or the swimming pool business, or the amphitheater business. Well, but so-and-so has it. Great. If the private sector thinks it'll make money, the private sector will do it. Government can't even do the basics right. The roads, the bridges, the sidewalks, the trash, the water, the sewer, the public safety. Like, it struggles with all the just basics. How would we think that they would do a rec center or an amphitheater or a sports stadium or a swimming pool? Why would we think they do any of those well? Yeah, they may exist. Yeah, they may look nice. But in terms of what it actually is for the taxpayers, no. And this is the problem. Then when you can't do something right, you get into bed with other parties, third parties. And look, everybody's innocent until proven guilty. No charges have been filed yet. But the bigger story is government should not be in the stadium business, period. Hey, you guys got a leaky chimney, water in the basement, cracks around the exterior of your home? Bramwell Mackay Property Services and Consultants is your authority for chimney repair, tuck pointing, foundation repair, crawl space to basement conversions, basement waterproofing, and more. Bramwell Mackay doesn't offer quick patches. Their team of 40-year master masons and industry experts address the root cause and provide solutions that last lifetimes. Your home is one of your biggest investments. Treat it that way. Bramwell Mackay, they've been with us from the beginning. BRAMWELLMCKAY, BramwellMackay.com, your masonry, foundation, and chimney specialists. All right, let's talk about school board races, shall we? Because if you guys go back in a time machine to last year, one of the big conversations, and rightfully so, is how Democrats keep getting elected to school board races in otherwise almost exclusively Republican communities, many of them here in central Indiana. And out of these conversations, it became obvious the reason that Democrats keep getting elected to only school board races is they don't have to identify as Democrat. I mean, you've got all communities that are all Republican, and then you've got these people who are openly Democrat. They vote in Democrat primaries, which would lead you to assume they're a Democrat. You look at their social media, it's obvious they're a Democrat and they're on the school board. And you say to yourself, how does that happen? How is it that all these other offices are Republican? And in many cases, an office being Republican doesn't mean anything. But on the school board, there's a bunch of Democrats. And the answer is, and will continue to be, they don't have to tell you what they are. And last year, the General Assembly took up a bill which would have simply required school board races to be treated like every other public office in the state of Indiana, which is you declare a party, you file to run as that party in a primary. If you win the primary, then you run in the general election. Every other office in the state of Indiana is that way, except school board. Why would the school board, which is in almost every community in our state, the largest taxing entity, and in terms of state dollars, certainly receives the most amount of money of any entity from the state, and is the largest employer in almost every single community, why would the school board be the only one that you allow to be different? And then always excuses, well, school issues should be nonpartisan. Bull. School issues are the most partisan. They spend the most money. I always have rejected that argument. Well, it's for the children. No, it's for the taxpayers. That's the first and biggest problem. People are able to hide behind these school board people. It's for the children. It's not for the children. It's for the taxpayers. We have a major crisis in this state and across our country where people don't believe that their job as a school board member is to serve the taxpayers. Every elected position, your first and primary job is to serve the taxpayers because that's who pays the bill. I mean, look at what we do here. Yes, we're creating entertainment that you watch. If it weren't entertaining, we wouldn't get eyeballs. We wouldn't get ears that listen on demand. But ultimately, our job is to keep the sponsors happy. It's true in radio. It's true in television. You'll see stations, podcasts, whatever, do things all the time that might hurt listeners, but it makes a sponsor happy. And who writes the check? The sponsor. In the case of the school board, the taxpayer is the sponsor, only we're sponsoring not by choice, but by force. But yet our school board members, because they can use kids as human shields, are able to say, well, I'm not doing this. I'm doing this for the children. My obligation is to the children. No, the children don't pay anything. Your job is to set policies that reflect the values of the community and the desires of the community based on the taxpayers of the community. And so what happened in this debate about whether school board members should be treated like every other government entity, every other governing body, I mean, that's the discussion. Should school board members, which are the largest, control the most amount of money by far of any government body in any community, should they be treated the same way as everybody else? Should they have the same accountability standards as everybody else? The answer is hell yes, they should. And so there was a bill presented that would have forced school board members to run like every other office in the state, including the coroner, including the surveyor, including the clerk treasurer. Why is it that all these other offices have to declare, like, is there a partisan way to look at a dead body? Why is it that we need partisan offices? Now, if you want to say I want to get rid of partisan elections for everyone, okay, I'll hear that. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about one office that controls the most amount of money, that has the most amount of influence in a community, and they get special rules. And because of those special rules, people of political parties who couldn't get elected dog catcher control the school board. And there was this bill presented last year that would have forced school board members to be elected like every other office. Now, as Republicans always do, because they're petrified of superintendents and they're petrified of the angry red-shirted teachers, you know, I think that might be the first angry red-shirted teacher reference we've had since we started the podcast. I can't believe it took me that long. Disappointed in myself. But because they're petrified of the school board members, the superintendents especially, the angry red-shirted teachers, they wimped out. They wilted. And they came up with this watered-down version of a bill which you can declare your party affiliation if you want to. Nothing forces you to. Nothing forces people who are lifelong Democrats in Republican communities to say I'm a Democrat, but they can if they want to. Well, why the hell would they want to do that? The whole premise of you guys having the partisan school board bill was an acknowledgement that Democrats were winning in Republican areas because they didn't have to tell people what they were. Well, why would anybody want to tell somebody what they are? And I said at the time, I said, this isn't going to solve anything. Capital Chronicle has an article. They've done the math. Of the 1,043 school board candidates listed by the Indiana Election Division this year, 515 declared no affiliation or stated they were nonpartisan. So half. I was right. Rob was right again. I said these people are not going to declare because it is a death sentence politically for them in these Republican communities. Listen to this stat. Republicans made up the next biggest affiliation with 379, followed by 75 independents and 66 Democrats. Of the 1,043 people who are running for school board, only 66 were willing to say, I'm a Democrat. Now, I'm but a product of the public education system. But if Democrats make up 40% of the electorate here in Indiana, or 40% of the voters in Indiana, shouldn't that number be like over 400? Like, I mean, if it's an equal representation. The actual number? 66. That is by design. Republicans, on the other hand, 379 people willing to say, I'm a Republican. Democrats don't want you to know who they are. That's how they've won the elections for years in these communities. And if people are going to be dumb enough to not demand to know, or going to be lazy enough to not to demand accountability from their school board members, then it's hard to blame the Democrats who have gotten away with it. And it looks like, based on this data right here, you're going to continue to see more of what we have seen in the past, which is Democrats operating, hiding behind, not having to tell people what they are, that will continue to win school board races in Republican communities. Hey, do you guys have a dog but don't have a fenced-in yard? Your HOA won't allow a fence? You worried about having to watch your furry friend anytime you go outside? You can avoid the blazing hot summers and freezing cold winters with our friends at All American Dog Fence. They used to be Indiana Dog Fence. And the owners, Kelly and Jeff, they love the product so much. They got 3 dogs themselves. They bought it, and now it's All American Dog Fence. The great thing about All American Dog Fence, they're small enough where customer service, top priority. The big guys, they don't have time to take care of you. Kelly and Jeff, that's what they do. This is their passion. This is their life. Oh, yeah, and by the way, they're going to beat the price of the big guys, too, in many cases. Listen to this deal. If you call All American Dog Fence today at 317-862-6606, 317-862-6606, or visit their website at allamericandogfence.com, all you got to do is mention the Rob Kendall Show, and you're going to get $200 off. $200 off, something you need anyway, and something that'll help you take care of your fuzzy friend, your furry friend, just by saying, I listen to the Rob Kendall Show, which you do. They're big fans of our show. You are too. Let's get you people together and protect your dog in the process. All American Dog Fence, 317-862-6606, 317-862-6606, allamericandogfence.com. All right. Oh, by the way, guys, if you haven't done so yet, give us that thumbs up button. Hit that little thumbs up button. Helps us. I know, I say it a lot, but it really does help us grow this all local program. Indiana news, politics, and government, you can't get anywhere else. All right, when we come back, what's it like to meet with the governor one-on-one? Well, in a little group, a small group setting, in the governor's mansion, the governor's house, and what actually comes out of the meeting. Jay Hart, conservative activist who last year joined a group of people. I said, don't go. I said, don't do it. I said, you're being used. Jay went. He saw this presentation. He said, enough of that. Conservative activist Jay Hart will join us, telling us about what it's like to meet with Braun. When we come back, you're watching Rob Kendall Show.
I'm Anthony Gary. I started Indy Dwell Real Estate because too many friends, family members, and neighbors had real estate experiences that lacked compassion, explanation, and expertise. You deserve someone in your corner with the heart of a teacher, simplifying every step of the buying or selling process. When you hire me, you get me. Start to finish, you'll never be handed off. No stress, no surprises, just the expert guidance and results you deserve. Anthony Gary, Indy Dwell Real Estate. Call or text 317-756-1159. 317-756-1159.
Did you know Honeysuckle Hill in Brazil offers more than just a fabulous made-from-scratch meal at the bistro? It also has an adjoining cottage, great for a perfect, relaxing weekend away with a scenic waterfront view. The cottage offers 3 bedrooms, 2 baths with spa-like tile showers, full kitchen, living room with fireplace, laundry facilities, and a full deck overlooking the lake. And Andy, one of the owners, delivers breakfast in a picnic basket at 8:30 each morning. Plan the perfect weekend away at the scenic Honeysuckle Hill property on the water in beautiful Brazil. Book today by visiting their website at honeysucklehillb.com.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
He was once a true believer, and now he's escaped the Republican stranglehold. He's going to tell us about his experiences. It's Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for joining us. Jay Hart, lifelong Republican, activist. There is no more Republican than you. And this is why I was amazed. You sent me a message the other day. You said, Rob, I'm done with it. I've had enough of these people. I want to come on and tell my story. Jay, hello.
Nice to see you today.
You know, you're done, right? You showed up on this show. You're done. There's no more. You know, this is it, right?
I know. I've been toast with a lot of these people for a long time. People just don't like the truth. They don't like the truth. And, you know, they really hate this kind of thing here.
Yeah.
Because they like that chaos amongst grassroots kind of people. They want that kind of chaos. They can operate better within that. So, yeah, they hate this sort of thing.
Okay, so you're a lifelong Republican. You ran for public office as a Republican. You ran for state senate against Rod Bray a couple of years ago. So there's not like you consider yourself a conservative.
Yeah, extremely, I would say, yeah.
Okay, why are you done with the Republicans? Before we get into some of the stuff that you experience, what about it? I mean, I've known you a long time, and I've never seen you as upset as you were the other day. Why now?
Well, I think I've just reached a point where I just don't believe it can be saved.
The Republican Party.
The Republican Party. I just don't think it can be saved. I think the Republican Party, you know, it used to be the party that allowed business to flourish in a free market. And now it's become the party that picks winners inside of that market. And we're just a party that's ran by lobbies. We're no longer, you know, guided by these principal goals, these conservative principal goals, these godly goals. We're just no longer guided by that. And I just don't see a big enough effort to hold elected Republican officials accountable.
So I obviously ran into this. Let's go back in the time machine. So the property tax, that was my baby, right?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty optimistic. We got Braun in our corner. We're having the rally. Everybody's going great. And then they stab us in the back. And shortly after that, Braun formed some sort of, I don't know what they called you guys, a working group or whatever. And I told you guys, you were in the group. And I said this on the air, don't go meet with the guy. He's using you guys as cover so that people will be nice to him because he's trying to get all the conservatives to go, look, I'm paying attention. And I said, he's not paying attention to you. He doesn't like you. He's using you. You went initially, and I want to get to why you didn't stop going, but you went initially. Why did you participate in this group of whatever it was, 10 people or so going to the governor's mansion?
Well, the group, I was asked to be a part of this group to actually kind of help design this group. And it was originally about replacing Todd Young as our senator. It was about vetting candidates to run against Todd Young.
Okay, so this is before Braun gets involved and you guys are going to the governor's mansion.
This is before Braun.
Yeah.
I had gotten a call and they said,
I was hoping you were going to say Braun was conspiring to replace Todd Young.
Who knows, man? I was asked to be a part of this group to try to find some representatives for a committee, basically in each congressional district, to try to, you know, get sort of a Tea Party. In fact, there are a lot of old Tea Party people involved in it. And, just try to get somebody in each district. I don't know if we ever got someone in every district. It was pretty close. They probably did by now if they're still meeting. But that's what it initially was about, was vetting candidates to run against Todd Young. And then I think once the group, we had a couple meetings and we started, getting pretty well organized. I think Braun had heard about it.
Oh, yeah.
And through Sue Lyle, had reached out to Sue Lyle and said, hey, I'd like to meet with your group and talk to them about property taxes and set the record straight, because, Rob's lying and so in the meantime, I don't think anybody else in the group was kind of aware of Senator Mishler's bill to eliminate homestead property tax and use the 96 Teachers Fund to fund some of that locally. And I was familiar with that. And I actually liked that. I remember watching the hearing, there was no vote. And I thought at the time, I was like, well, at first I didn't want to watch it because I thought,
oh, it's all depressing. You just can't watch anymore. It's boring and it's depressing. So you guys agree to go, right? And there's all these.
We agree to go.
There's the pictures, right? And the pictures are up, and it's the governor's mansion, and it looks like you're getting the white glove, red carpet treatment. And I'm like, you guys cannot do this. He's clearly using, and it paid me because I liked a lot of the people in the photo. I'm like, don't be used. And everybody got mad at me for publicly saying you're being used. I somehow became the bad guy in all of this.
My take on it at the time was Rob's on our team, but he's gotten a technical foul. He's been ran off the court, and now he wants all of us to leave the court. And I was like, well, there's this opportunity. Let's meet with Braun. And all I wanted to do is see if he knew about Mishler's bill prior, which he said he didn't. He said, if I would have only known, that would have been my policy.
Wait, time out. You're telling me that the governor who made property taxes his number one issue for a year told you in this meeting, I didn't know this bill was out there that was basically the bill that we had asked for.
That had already had a no vote hearing, but it had already been a hearing, which lobbyists obviously didn't like it, housing and whatnot. But he, in the meeting, says that he totally supports it. He's going to reach out to Ryan Mishler right away, and they're going to get, and he's going to work with Ryan to form a coalition in the Statehouse to get it done this session.
Which would have been the one we had.
No, the coming.
Oh, the coming session.
The coming session, yeah. So that's what he's supposed to be doing.
Right.
He's supposed to be building a coalition in the Statehouse to get this done. And I support the bill because I think it's a good start. It's not perfect. There's things I don't like about it at all. I don't like giving the state more money. I don't completely understand how it does, but apparently it's going to give the state just more money to.
But how could he not know he's the governor? That was his issue.
I didn't, as long as he was agreeing to work, and I don't know what work's been done since then. Because
none. Because I'll fill it in for you. None's been done since then.
So that's what I keep asking is like, where's this coalition? Is it going on? And the thing that I don't like is when somebody says, well, we have to keep this on the DL.
Do they do that a lot?
We can't let people.
Do they do that?
Yeah, we have to keep this quiet because if everybody knows, they'll start working against us right away.
And I'm like, in the meetings, they tell you that at like the governor's mansion, where they say like you got to keep things on the down low.
Until I think it was, if I recall, I want to make sure that I'm telling the truth here. But yes, at some point it was, let's not talk about this publicly for a while because we don't want to give people a chance to destroy it before we get our shit together.
So just ram it through. You can cuss here. It's fine. I wouldn't suggest doing it a lot, but we give you one free before we zap you. Okay. Jay Hart is our guest. He's a longtime Republican. We're going behind the scenes here. He's a part of these meetings, which just fascinate the heck out of me at the governor's mansion. So I come out and say, don't meet with this guy. Everyone hates him. He's looking for cover. He's looking for a lifeline out of the grave. And somehow everybody turns into hating me. How did I become the bad guy? Because I loved you guys. I was trying to save you guys the heartache that I had endured because Braun lies about everything.
I think, I think that I think conservatives have all been victim of a circular firing squad. We're frustrated. We don't want to give up because this country's awesome. This state is awesome. We have kids. Fatherhood's amazing.
Right.
And we don't want to give up on the idea. And the Republican Party, to me, has always been the last great hope to fix it, to keep it in line. And it's just, I've reached a breaking point to where I just don't believe that it can be saved. I just don't believe it can be saved.
What's it like to be in a meeting there? Because in every meeting I had with Braun, I compare it to like Dr. Loomis talking about Michael Myers, where he's like, he was there, but I couldn't reach him. I looked at him and there was nothing staring back at me. Like every conversation I ever had with Braun was just painfully awkward. And it was like, I'm so glad this is over and I never have to. I remember leaving the state party when he announced he was going to sign that bill and I begged him not to. And I remember thinking to myself, thank goodness I never have to meet with this guy again. I never have to talk to him ever again. What were the meetings like for you and you guys in the governor's mansion? Do they like throw out a snack tray? What do they do?
I think we had some water. I think maybe we had some water. He came in. He was very polite. He was very nice. I really, truly, I felt that he was sincere. I feel like he got his ass whipped in public by you, by many people. I mean, and I was very, very angry in that moment too.
So Gentry said, Mayor of Lebanon said, Braun only did property taxes because I bullied him. Do you believe that he didn't want to do property taxes?
I really don't believe that. I think he's sincere. I think lobbies are running this state the same way they're running our country. And I just feel like I just heard a while back that one of the reasons that he's not out publicly supporting this right now is because the housing lobby and the banking lobbies, they don't want him to do it. And they're telling him, do not do this. Do not support this. Get away from property tax.
Do you think he gets bad advice from them, or he's like, I don't want to go against the lobby, or they're selling him something that he's believing, or he's just like, I don't want to take on the lobby?
I think he's getting bad advice. I think like a lot of now, he's not nearly as old as some of the folks are in Washington, but I really think that he's relying on some of the younger people who, they just want their hand in the cookie jar all the time, and they don't want him to do anything that's going to shut off that flow of money,
So
funding.
Did you leave the first meeting like thinking it was productive?
I did. I really did. I truly left there.
And then you put out a video screaming at me.
Not because it's not being naive. It's being hopeful. It really is being hopeful.
Yeah, you can't be hopeful in this business.
Oh, my God.
If you haven't learned that by now.
It's funny because if I take everything that I learned in the music business, if I could just plug that in to politics, I'd be fine because it's ruthless.
Yeah.
And you just don't believe anybody. Everybody's a liar. Everybody's crooked. And that's politics. It really is. But I guess because the music business is something that's like fun and, you can be passionate about. It's not all that serious. It's not going to get people killed.
Right.
It's not going to, put people in ghettos.
Right.
But in politics, it's just so serious that you just want to remain hopeful.
You stopped going because I noticed then you stopped showing up in the pictures. And I said, well, one guy caught on.
Yeah.
Why did you stop going? Because these people were meeting like once a month or something.
It was really more about part of the group than it was about Braun. I really did believe that we needed to stay in touch with him, that we really needed to let him know there was going to be some accountability. But the group turned into a more of a pro-Trump group. Back in the first Iran bombing, there was a split between the Trump people.
Yeah, right.
I went this way, some people went that way, and there were some outspoken people in the group that were like, well, if you don't like Trump, wait a minute, this group was about replacing Todd Young. And then we just met about property taxes. And now it's about whether or not we think we ought to be starting more foreign wars. And I was completely against it. And I had said, that this portion of Trump supporters, that they were very cult-like and cultists. And there were some folks in the group who just didn't like that. And they were like, so you're saying I'm in a cult? It became this typical thing where there's this infighting. I'm like, I'm here about Todd Young and property tax at this point.
Was there anything meaningful from those meetings with Braun that you're like, okay, big, great changes are coming, signed, sealed, and delivered? Do you feel like the group got anything out of the meetings?
I do. I really feel like Braun, he felt there was going to be some accountability if he doesn't work with this group to get something meaningful done on property tax. I think he regretted instantly. And I think you had a big part in it. I think he regretted just not doing the right thing in the first place on property tax. I think
I warned him. The last thing I said to him, I'm like, people will hate you if you sign this bill.
Yep.
You must veto this bill. I said, you'll be a hero.
Yeah.
Just call the session. Veto the bill. Call the session. If it fails again, you're immune from everything. No. I said, you're done.
What do you think his problem is? Like, why would he not do that?
Well,
like, really,
we don't have 3 hours here.
Well, I look at it, I'm like, well, he's got, if he's really worried about the lobbies and the funding for the party and things of that nature, if that's what he's worried about, I just don't get it. Like, this guy's got tons of money.
He's rich. He's very rich, isn't he?
Importing Chinese auto parts. But he's got tons of money. What does he have to worry about? Even if he's got the ability to get this done, and even if the party just freaks out on him and the lobbies freak out on him and say, you're done, no more, he serves one term, he goes home. To what? Lots of money and helicopters and whatever else, whatever little gadgets he has. Like, he goes home happy. Like, all these politicians, I feel the same way. I'm like, just do the right thing. And if they take you out, just go home and enjoy your mansion.
The answer is it's a need to be liked. These people crave being liked. It's the only reason he ever dealt with me to begin with. He didn't want 50,000 people a day hating his guts. They never wanted to deal with me. They never wanted to sit down with me. They never intended to follow through. And it's a need to be liked. And so when your heart's not in something like property taxes, because it's very difficult, it's very hard, it's very complex, you're never gonna get it done. And Braun craves acceptance. It's why with the IURC, well, I'm going to appoint these people. Problem solved. Oh, they didn't do what I wanted. Well, because you didn't appoint the right people. You appointed Andy Zay, who's an insider, right? Yeah. Well, now I hate the IURC or the IEDC or all of this stuff, right? He craves the acceptance. And I think when you want to be liked or you need to be liked, right? Here's the thing I love about Jay. I did like a 10-minute segment where Jay put out a video screaming about me, and I just ripped him to shreds. And Jay's still here. I got to tell you, it was one of my best works I've ever done. And so I have to thank you for that. And clearly look at the success it's brought me.
Well, you had the airwaves. You had the airwaves. I had Facebook, social media. You had the airwaves, man.
Okay, Jay Hart's, I guess, a couple minutes left with him. He's a Republican activist and conservative activist, and now is done with the Republican Party. I try to take myself out of the equation, like my own ego or whatever. And I say, look, all I ever did was try to do what the Republicans claim they're all about. Low taxes, limited government, transparency. And I am the public enemy number one for these people. So my question to you is, because you've sort of found the same thing, what is the Republican Party anymore? They're not what I was told it was when I signed up for it.
Yeah, not at all. Republican Party, like I said, it's become the party of, I don't want to say the party of millionaires and billionaires, but it's become the party that decides the winners and losers. And you just can't tell where the lobby ends and Republican legislation begins. The lobbies are writing the legislation. The lobbies are out in the local counties and cities trying to convince all of the people out there who know nothing about some of these big financial plans, convincing them that it's the right thing to do. And so lobbies are running the state.
Can it be saved? Can the Republican Party be saved? I think it's past that point. I think it's got to go down.
I think it's past the point. I don't see it. I don't see how. I don't see a pathway to success. That's what I always ask people when they have big dreams and big plans. I used to ask kids this in music or whatever, like people, I'm like, what is your pathway to success? How does this work out? How do we get back to being the party that we were before? Because I think we had a great platform that was it was all born out of godly ideas. People deserve to keep the things they've earned. A man is a man, a woman is a woman. God created us. They have their roles. I think, life is I'm 100% pro-life, defending babies. And we ought to just kind of keep to ourselves and pay attention to America and put America first. Like, that was the Republican Party. Now the Republican Party is like this global machine.
Yeah.
And it's so intertwined with all these other nations. And it comes all the way down to the states and all the way down to the counties now. And it just seems like this big nasty machine, and I don't see how this ends. And I hope people across the country are willing to start opening their eyes and looking at this in a more independent way. And I don't mean just completely independent, like focus on God, let God kind of guide your ideas. Say, is this a godly idea? Is this really something that
are you out of it for good now?
Out of it for like, well, you mean politics?
Yeah.
Or you mean like the party?
Like either one.
I'll never write a check to the Republican Party, not a county, not a state, not anything. There are people within the party that are running as Republicans that I still believe in, individuals.
So you would still help them?
I would help them. Yeah. Oh yeah. There are people that I would help.
Completely out of it.
Yeah. I actually really like my state representative, Dave Hall. Like I really like Dave. He's a genuine guy. He's got a tough district. It's like 50-50. Bloomington, liberal, Brown County conservative. It's a really tough district. He's a guy. I do have a great state representative who answers the phone, even when
it's a novel concept.
Even when he knows I'm not going to be happy or we don't agree on something, he answers the phone. He's all right.
All right, I'll get you out of here with this. One of the things that pains me is a lot of these people that I feel like I have been alienated from used to be my friends. And I feel like it's the Joe Walsh song. Everybody's so different. I haven't changed.
Yeah.
Are these people ever going to see it the way you see it, or are you just like the one guy who broke out of the cult and you've lived to tell your story? Or will there someday be a mass exodus where these people, because I feel like with these people, they're so entrenched in it now. Like, look at what went on with Diego, where this clearly was covered up. These same people, Banks, Rokita, all these people who were behind him, who bailed on him at the end, and yet we just insert the next guy in. And it's like, well, you have to be for him now. But these are the same people that told you this guy was great. Now they're telling you he's rotten. No, this is our guy. We're for him. Will there ever be, for lack of a better term, like a great awakening where all of these people who may be well-meaning, but will they ever wake up and go, you know what? I'm with Jay. I'm with Rob. We're done here. This was the last straw. Or will there ever be a last straw?
I hope we see a big trend in people. I think we're starting to see it. Like, you know, as people leave, especially at the national level, look at all the attacks on Tucker Carlson or MTG or Thomas Massey. If you look at the real conservatives, these are real conservatives. And you look at the attacks on them and the attacks on you, I get it all the time, but like
they hate me more than any Democrat. I feel like like in the Republican Party, I am hated more than any Democrat.
Because the Democrats aren't a threat. Yeah. They're not in control of anything in this state. They're not in control of anything in the nation. Every problem we have in this country is the fault of a Republican.
Yeah.
In this state, in our country level, it's the fault of a Republican. And you touched on a couple of names earlier that kind of helped seal the deal for me. I was a believer in Jim Banks. I believed he was a conservative guy. He was going to do great things once he got to the Senate. He's gone completely the opposite direction of everything he ever said he supported with Trump because he wants to be in the White House, I think, in the next administration.
Oh, yeah. He's a climber.
Yeah. Todd Rokita just took a $25,000 check from Miriam Adelson, like the same person that gave Trump $500 million to start a war in Iran. Like why? He's not being challenged right now. He's not, like, nobody's challenging him. Why would she write this? That's like the biggest, like, single donation I think that he got from an individual, $25,000. Like, she thinks she cares about Indiana. I think she cares. Like, what's going on there? Does he want to be is he looking for a cabinet position as well in 28? Like, it all just looks so gross to me. I don't want to be any part of it. I feel, you know, I hope there's going to be a trend where people start saying, hey, this is wrong. And I can't do this. As a Christian, I can't be a part of this organization that's working so hard against Christians, America.
Survivor story. See, he says the same things I do, but he stayed with it longer than I did. So I hope we just keep getting people to stay with it longer and longer and longer, and the people hear the same stories over and over again, and that'll be like a snowball.
I think you were in the cycle earlier than I was. I think you supported Stutzman in the.
Oh yeah.
There's another guy that I'm just.
Yes.
I think he just got back from Israel.
They've all changed.
Yeah.
It's the Joe Walsh song. I'm telling you, everybody's so different. I haven't changed.
But I supported Stutzman in that race. That's who I liked in that race. Like, you know, I think you were really passionate about the inside of it more than I was. I had a television show. I was busy. I would go downtown and make phone calls and knock doors as I could.
Yeah.
You were really entrenched. And so I think once you really get in there and you really see it, everybody, I think, reaches their breaking point, or they get elected, and then they're plugged in.
Oh, yeah.
They're plugged in, and then they get their political feet, and they just start running. They take off. But I don't know, man. I think some of these people, they don't have a life outside of it.
Yeah.
And so once they get in there, they're like, oh, I kind of like driving around in a nice car and eating these nice dinners and flying around on jets. I don't want to go home and hang out with those losers, Jay and Rob. Like, I don't want to go home and get a job. I don't want to put a roof on a house or do some plumbing.
Jay Hart, thank you, my friend. Good to see you. Take a break. We'll be back. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
If authentic wood-smoked barbecue is your thing, Double D's Barbecue in Clayton is the place for you. Owners Dennis and Tina Duncan, along with their son Garrett, are from Memphis. So when it comes to barbecue, they're not screwing around. No pellet smokers, no roasters, just authentic wood-smoked Memphis-style barbecue. All of Double D's food is cooked fresh daily, and it's all made from scratch. Double D's Barbecue, located at 40 and 39 in Clayton, is open all day, Wednesday through Saturday, but get there early because once they're sold out, they're done. Check out the full menu, ribs, brisket, and more at ddbbq317.com.
Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. John is a Hoosier lifer who takes pride in and stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee, with water heaters having a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today and speak directly with John, the owner. 765-315-7558. That's Black Sheep Plumbing at 765-315-7558.
Is the inside of your house a total mess, like a complete dumpster fire? Call AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning. When you walk into your house after using AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning, you will see and smell the difference. They take great pride in their workers and treat your home like their own. All cleaners pass through a background check and drug screening. Call today and mention you heard about AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning on the Rob Kendall Show, and you will get an incredible $50 off your first clean. AJ's Picture Perfect Cleaning serves all of Central Indiana. Book your appointment today by calling 317-530-8148. 317-530-8148. Hey guys, welcome back. It's the Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to Jay Hart for joining us. That was a fascinating conversation. And look, I think it's good for you guys to hear it from other people, because I think a lot of times people try to paint, well, Rob's a radical, Rob's, an ideologue, whatever. And I tell you guys over and over and over again, there was no more true believer in the Republicans than me. There's nobody who at various times has fought harder for Republican ideals and Republican policy than me. But these guys who run the show are rotten. And they are users. And they are just, I think he laid it out pretty good. And I think it's good for you guys to hear from somebody else who was in the room, who was going to these meetings. And one of the things you quickly realize when you immerse yourself in this is how few people actually care about you. How few of these politicians actually care about you. And I think that's one of the things that people are missing as it relates to, and why so many people just don't engage at all in the political process, is they don't believe anybody's out there actually for them. And so one of the decisions you've got to make, look, voting is pretty simple, and it's actually not all that hard to make a whole bunch of change. You got to get a group of people that are willing to dedicate time and effort to the change you wish to create. And it's fascinating. I've been contacted by somebody, been emailing back and forth with somebody who's one of these communities facing a school referendum. And they've been asking me different things, and I've been emailing back and forth with them. And one of the things I told this person is I said, look, there's a formula to beating a school referendum, but it all starts with, can you get 15 to 20 people that are willing to dedicate 3 or 4 months to change? And by dedicate, I mean going out and knocking on an hour a night, knocking on doors, putting doors in hangers in doors, putting signs in yards. Can you find that group of people that are willing to engage? Obviously, the more you can get, the better it is, the easier it is. But if you can't, then this thing isn't going to fail. It's going to succeed. And so that's really the key to the whole political process is, can you find enough people that are passionate enough to care, to engage, to influence others to think differently than they've thought before? Like I think back to just using these referendums as an example. And again, it's going to be interesting tomorrow. Anthony Gary's going to be with us from Indy Dwell Real Estate. He's crunched the numbers on the referendums about how much it's going to cost people in these different communities, because people don't get told what it's actually going to cost them. And that's why they pass. And so one of the things, like when we defeated our referendum in Brownsburg, I challenged people by saying the worst thing that could happen is it fails and then they come back again. Like, let's just say everything they claimed, if it doesn't pass, happens. Well, then they can just come back and put it on the ballot and show everybody, see, this happened, and let's fix it. And I can't tell you the amount of people who, when you would meet them at a door or out and about as you're walking around neighborhoods, would go, yeah, but they're saying all these things. I said, okay, well, what if it does? And they said, yeah, what if it does? I said, then you just fix it the next year. Just put it on the ballot again. They could say, I was right, Rob was wrong, and fix it. They go, yeah, it's a good point. I said, exactly. You have to get people, in order to enact change, you have to change people's ways of thinking, and you have to get them comfortable with facing the unknown. What if I don't do what the government said? Yeah, what if you don't do what the government said? Why don't we see? It's like Austin Powers. I, too, like to live dangerously. What if we just try not doing it the way they said? What if we just try something different? Because clearly, and it goes back to going all the way back to the opening segment today about AOC. And look, again, to eliminate the fact that then she goes on a 2-minute pivot about vote for this El Said guy who's a complete nutbag. She did a pretty good job of laying out how the system is corrupted on both sides. The money and the power and the influence takes over the system. And until you have enough people that believe their life matters enough to fight for themselves and then gets other people, that's really the key. You have to get people to get people. That's where you guys come in. That's why the radio show was so powerful all those years. It's why the podcast. I mean, we got people supporting Todd Young, spending money with us now. That's how quickly powerful our podcast has become. Because we disseminate the information and then you put it out there. And that's why they've hated us. Because we tell you things that nobody else is going to tell you, because we think differently than everybody else thinks. And it gets you thinking and talking to people with new thoughts, new ideas, new ways of going about it. And that's what the political parties fear. They fear independence. They fear you sitting down and going, yeah, what's the worst that can actually happen? And so it brings me to this column by a guy who I found myself agreeing with multiple times, which is crazy here recently because we've had many disagreements over the years, but it's Michael Hicks, who is an economist. He's a professor at Ball State, and he writes columns for various publications across the state. And there's a lot of things I think Hicks gets wrong, but, on this show, last week we said something nice about Todd Young and Todd Rokita and Jim Banks and somebody else. I don't remember who the fourth person was, but if people get things right, we comment on it. It's just rare they get them right. But Hicks had an article today in the Star about Ballard's campaign and the opportunity for third parties in Indiana and across the country to succeed, given the complete alienation or attempted alienation both parties have presented to independent thinkers. Like when you heard from Jay Hart, you heard from a guy who was a true believer, much the way as I was a true believer. But as independent thinkers, when you separate yourself from the emotion of the thing, which is I'm aligned with the party, which I was never emotional about it. Like I just saw words on paper and said, yeah, that's me. And then I got in there and was like, these people don't walk for the talk that they talk. And so I quickly separated myself from it. Because having honest conversations was far more important to me than being accepted by any club or group of people. I'm okay with not getting invited to stuff. I'm fine with not being a featured speaker or whatever. I said this a long time ago. I have enough friends. I don't need any more friends. And my life is pretty busy. Like my life now is this show, before it was the radio show, and my wife and my child. That's enough for me. It takes a lot of time. 3-year-olds keep you very busy. But so many people become defined by acceptance inside of the club. And they are people who know right from wrong. They know when people are screwing up, but they won't dare call it out because they crave the acceptance of the club. And so then what you get is when nobody's pushing back amongst the stupidity, when nobody's standing up and going, you are wrong, or that idea is wrong, or what you're doing is wrong, and I'm not going to stand for it, it just builds momentum to the bad ideas, which alienate people who thrive on, who take pride in the idea of independent thinking. And so because of the extremism on both sides, in which the government run by both sides, depending on what state you're in, or the country, depending on who's in charge, is always catering to the extreme on one side or another, and not even extreme in the sense of a public policy, extremism just in terms of a way of thinking. We've gone past the idea of I'm fighting for the people. I'm fighting to make life better for others. And regular people feel completely left out and they have nowhere to turn. And that is, and Hicks writes about this in his column, it's a unique moment in Indiana's history because Greg Ballard is providing the first viable home potentially for those people. Now, look, Ballard's got a lot of work to do because he blew through a lot of cash to get on the ballot. I mean, he was running on empty, to steal a line from Jackson Brown. His campaign coffers, not good. He's going to have to build it all back up. I mean, it's pathetic that you have to spend that amount of money to get on the ballot, but he's going to have to, he did it. And it's, you got to stay in the game. You can't stay in the game if you don't get in the game, and he had to ensure that he got on the ballot, which he did. But Hicks writes about the opportunity if people, and these are my words, interpretation of his article, if people are willing to get outside their comfort zone and sort of say to themselves, yeah, what's the worst that can happen? He gives an opportunity if enough people are willing to do that, and if enough people are willing to say, I'm sick of the operations as I've always known them, which are the parties themselves. And again, I always try to be as specific as I possibly can with this. This is not an endorsement of Greg Ballard. It's not telling you to vote for Greg Ballard. I will tell you throughout the course of this process, though, how I think in terms of voting. And I will tell you who I ultimately vote for when I decide that. I have no idea right now. I have to see the campaign Ballard's going to run. I have to see the campaign Bai is going to run. I want to see what Lori Schillings does as a libertarian. And I will tell you throughout this process. See, the thing I love about this show is I get to work out loud through my own thoughts. Scary place to be, right? You guys basically get to hear every day me work through my own thoughts. And I'm honored that thousands of people every day care enough throughout our various platforms that want to hear me work through my thoughts. It's like my own personal counseling session. You guys are like the therapist on the couch. And one of the things that is forefront of my mind is sort of that rule of thought that I've always had, which is, well, what's the worst that can happen? Like, I always process that if I do something, what's the worst that can happen? And I keep hearing from people, well, we can't possibly, yeah, okay, the Republicans, because I keep saying, if you vote for the Republican, you are condoning the behavior and cover-up of Diego Morales. Period, full stop. If you vote for the Republican, Max Engling, you are condoning the behavior and cover-up of Diego Morales. You're telling him it's okay because Engling will do nothing about it, which is why he's there. So no more bitching from you about anything the Republicans do if you vote for the Republican in this case. No more bitching from you. And I'm going to ask every person who bitches at me going forward, who'd you vote for Secretary of State? The reality is, if you take the what's the worst that can happen scenario, let's say Bai gets in there, because you'll see so many people, yeah, the Republicans, but I can't hand the state over to the Democrats. Secretary of State has zero power other than the power bestowed upon him or her by the Indiana General Assembly. It's why the Republicans are guilty with Diego. Because nobody in the General Assembly or the governor or the statewides did anything about him, and they all had the ability in their own capacity to try at least to do something, and nobody did anything. Diego has no power other than that granted to him. He kept doing the no-bid contracts and kept giving contracts to donors because the Republicans kept giving him the money. He went to India for 10 days and flipped his middle finger at all of us because the Republicans kept giving him the money. They could have stopped that. They could have found out who paid for India. They could have called him back and said, you will not get one dime until you tell us with full disclosure who paid for this trip and what you did there. They didn't do it. So when I hear people go, well, but I'm not turning this state over to the Democrats. Bo Bai couldn't do a damn thing that the General Assembly doesn't say okay. If you're using that as your excuse not to vote for Bai, that is a cop-out. Or if you're not to vote for Ballard because you're worried Bai's going to get in there, that's a cop-out. In the what's the worst that can happen scenario, Bai just fights with the General Assembly for 4 years if he gets in there. Or Ballard just fights with the General Assembly if he gets in there. That's the worst thing that could happen. What's the worst? We get entertainment for 4 years. It'll be fun to cover. Bai cannot open up voting to illegal immigrants. He doesn't want to do that anyway because he wants to be governor. He's not going to do anything controversial. He's not going to do anything to piss anybody off. Like, come on. You guys are kidding yourself. It's people look for justifications in their own mind to get where they want to be. And there's a lot of people who just want the comfort of voting Republican. They want to bitch about Republicans, but they want the comfort of Republicans because that's what they've always done. So they justify it in their mind. Well, I'm not turning the state over to the Democrats. Nobody's asking you to do that. The Secretary of State is an administrative function that has zip power, not delegated to him or her by the General Assembly. None. They're not a lawmaker. They don't make law. Bai can't make people not show an ID to vote. He can't count votes differently. Again, not that he would want to do this anyway. He has no incentive to do that. All of that stuff is ridiculous. If you say to yourself, what's the worst that can happen if someone other than a Republican gets in there, be it Ballard or Bai or Lori Schillings, the answer is nothing other than what the General Assembly allows to happen. And in a weird way, giving them someone to fight with might actually make our laws better, might actually make our laws more common sense. So I don't normally do this, but I'm going to, when I go through these articles, but I thought Hick's article on Ballard and the opportunity of third parties, Hicks sums it up perfectly at the end of the article. So I'm going to start at the end of the article. He closes his article by pointing out the most obvious thing of all. And it's the reason I've been saying all things and all campaigns being equal, people need to take a long look at Ballard if they actually want to change the system. Again, not an endorsement of Ballard, not a telling you to vote for Ballard, not saying I'm voting for Ballard, because we have no idea what these campaigns are going to look like over the next 3-4 months. But if all things were equal, if 4 months from now all things are equal and Ballard runs like a normal person and articulates a good message and all of this stuff, if all things are equal, I think you got to take a long look at Ballard if you actually want to change the system. Because, and Hicks goes into detail on this, and he's right, Greg Ballard is making everybody so much better. And think about if Ballard in just a couple months is making everyone so much better, how much better would a viable third party make everybody for the next 4 years? We got 4 years of this. Look at the panic of the Republicans in just a couple months because of Ballard. They got rid of Diego. I promise you, if it had not been for Greg Ballard, they would not have gotten rid of Diego Morales. I know these people as well or better than they know themselves. They hit that panic button and got rid of Diego because of Ballard. Here's what Hicks writes. It is best to judge parties by what they do, and the Lincoln Party's early days are an unparalleled success. It has demonstrated it can deliver votes with a statewide canvass. Ballard is a man of proven integrity who has spent a lifetime in public service, first as a Marine officer and later as mayor of the state's largest city. He's precisely the type of candidate Hoosiers won in public office. The Lincoln Party has scared the GOP so badly that Republicans ditched their appallingly bad incumbent. Their replacement, Engling, is a better candidate, which is also true of every other Hoosier not presently incarcerated or serving as lieutenant governor. That's so good. He's right. If you actually want to change the system, what's the worst that could happen if you voted for Ballard? What's your greatest fear? Ballard or Bai gets in there? So what? Just like years ago, when people would ask me at the door, but what if this thing fails and the school goes to crap? Well, then they'll put a referendum back on the ballot and they'll say, Rob Kendall's an idiot, and you can laugh at me. And then you'll fix it next year. Do you think the school is going to disintegrate in a year? And I would see people look at me, and you could see the wheels turning in real time when I would say that to them, and they'd go, you're right. Exactly. It can always be fixed. The worst that can happen here is the General Assembly gets their act together and starts actually providing viable oversight over the Secretary of State's office, which is not happening here. It's not happening right now, based on the fact that they kept giving Diego Morales money. Oh, damn. The General Assembly actually has to do their job. Oh, damn. We actually hold our politicians accountable. Oh, damn. We actually start peering through books and seeing what's going on in the office. Oh, noes. We can't have that. Of the GOP in their recent primary, Hicks goes on to write, the only nod to centrism was replacing Morales with Engling on the ballot in November. Morales isn't ideological, he's just not that deep. He is dismally incompetent and corrupt. Still, GOP delegates accepted ineptitude and sleaze until they saw the internal polls showing a humiliating defeat. Exactly. Perfect. I could not have worded that any better myself. He is dismally incompetent and corrupt. For all of you people who are so afraid of the unknown, look at what you had in the known. There's no way Bai or Ballard on their worst day times infinity could be as bad as Diego. None. Diego Morales was brazenly corrupt and unethical, and he's a moron. Some of these politicians are unethical and corrupt, and they're smart about it. Diego's an idiot. And Republicans, until Ballard got in, were like, this is fine. This is fine. What do you mean? You have to decide. You have to decide. Do I care about my own life enough to just take a little bit of a gamble? Because the Republicans are banking on you answering that question as no. The Republicans are banking on you going, well, there's some radicals in other states, and not actually looking at what the job is or the safeguards around the job, if the General Assembly, heaven forbid, wanted to put safeguards in, or how you're not turning the state over to Democrats because one guy wins an office. They're banking on you not being willing to do that. And for a lot of people, they'll be proven correct. A lot of people will huff and they'll puff and they'll get in that ballot booth and they'll wimp out and they'll vote for the Republican. But it also is a reminder that Bayh and Ballard need to campaign on Diego. Don't let the Republicans define the issues as they want them defined. They lost the right to do that when for 4 years they said Diego Morales was acceptable. They don't get any moral high ground. They don't get to decide what the issues are. If you're Ballard or you're Bayh, you decide what the issues are. And the issues have to be the brazen corruption, the incompetence of that office for the past 4 years, the guy overseeing it, and what the Republicans were fine with allowing to happen. Hey guys, many homeowners are sitting on more equity than they realize. If you've owned your own home for a few years, now may be a good time to explore your options. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage is a local mortgage advisor helping Central Indiana homeowners refinance to access cash for home improvements, consolidate higher interest debt, or simply review whether a better local loan structure is available. Gary believes that every homeowner deserves a personalized mortgage review, not a one-size-fits-all solution from a call center. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more. Loansbygary.homes to learn more. Gary Tedrow, Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 179207. Equal housing lender. Gary's been with us from the beginning. Gary is awesome. Please support those that support our show. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Rokita, Braun, they just put the axe on giving priority to women and to minority-owned businesses when dealing with the state contracts. However, our old pal Jacob Stewart, columnist extraordinaire, says these guys should look in the mirror because their own party, the Republican Party, is doing the same thing they claim to be against. Hypocrisy alert when we return. You're watching Rob Kendall Show. Do you have a dog but don't have a fenced-in yard? Your HOA won't allow a fence? Worried about having to watch your furry friend anytime you go outside? Avoid the blazing hot summers and freezing cold winters with All-American Dog Fence. All-American Dog Fence is the cost-effective, easy-to-use, in-ground fence system to keep your dog secure and give you peace of mind anytime they're outside. All-American Dog Fence backs their Pet Stop products with a lifetime warranty. Call or text All-American Dog Fence at 317-862-6606 or visit their website at allamericandogfence.com. Mention the Rob Kendall Show and get $200 off a new installation.
In Congress, I get all sorts of insider stock tips. Sure, I cashed in. It's my Beltway bonus. But now here comes Senator Todd Young with his total ban on congressional stock trades.
Freaking Mr. Clean Marine. Todd Young's got real guts taking us on. Young's gonna cost me millions.
Had enough of this? Contact Senator Todd Young to say thanks and let him know that you stand with his plan to ban stock trading for all members of Congress.
Are you seeing cracks in mortar, moisture working through walls, facade or structural failure beginning to surface? Bramwell Mackay sets the standard for exterior and structural building solutions. Our 40-year master masons and industry experts address moisture intrusion, failing foundations, masonry deterioration, and more. From preserving historic landmarks to addressing modern building envelope issues, Bramwell Mackay delivers full-spectrum service with white-glove professionalism. In Indianapolis, call 812-33-BRICK. 812-33-BRICK.
Oh, here we go. It's hour 3. Welcome in, guys. It's the Rob Kendall Show. Hour 3 brought to you by our great friend, John Rust. Of course, he's having a big old party October the 3rd at his palatial estate in Seymour. He would love for you to attend. It is celebrating America's 250th birthday. There is no charge whatsoever to you. Man, it's going to be a great time. Patriotic music, antique car show, lunch for you, catered by Double D's, birthday cake, celebrating Jason's birthday, which is October the 3rd. I'm going to give a little speech on how great the country is. Come hang out with us. Have some fun. Hopefully it'll be a beautiful fall morning and afternoon. We'll spend it together. Event starts at noon. All you got to do if you want to come hang out with us October the 3rd at the palatial John Rust Estate, send an email. Let him know how many people you got coming, your name, and how many people you got coming. rustforamerica@gmail.com. rustforamerica@gmail.com. Is tomorrow episode 100? Hey, hot damn, we made it to 100 episodes. Well, providing I get out of here okay today. So we want to thank each and every one of you who have been a part of this with us from the beginning. We couldn't do it without you. You guys have been absolutely amazing, helping us grow this program. And man, God bless you guys. We've done something here that no other broadcaster in the city could do or pull off. And it's not because of me. It's because of you guys and your passion for good government and your passion for better government. And so we thank each and every one of you. And that's why we get up and we bring it to you 3 hours a day, every day. Rob Kendall Show. Nobody does Indiana news and politics and government like us. And as we said, nobody does Indiana news and politics and government like us. But nobody does barbecue like our pals at Double D's Barbecue in Clayton. Open Wednesday through Thursday for lunch and dinner. Right there on 40, a little bit of drive, 40 and 39. Totally worth the trip. Authentic wood-smoked Memphis-style barbecue. They've got specials Wednesday through Saturday, including wings and loaded baked potato and Mississippi farm-raised catfish. If you're looking for something different, little out of the ordinary, totally worth the trip. Just get on 40 right there at 40 and 39 in Clayton. Double D's Barbecue, winner of best ribs, best sauce at Rib Fest in Hendricks County. They take it all very serious. Ribs, brisket, and more. DDBBQ317.com. DDBBQ317.com. Guys, one thing you can do to help us out if you haven't done so yet is we start hour 3. If you like this program, if you want to help us grow, hit the little thumbs up button. Helps us grow the program. We couldn't do it without you guys. A little thumbs up. Like, share, and subscribe. Keeps the Rob Kendall Show growing. All right, so a couple of things I want to get to. One is fundraising, and this is fascinating to me. So Capital Chronicle has an article about how much money Mike Braun brought in. And according to the Capital Chronicle, Mike Braun raised $1.1 million through the first half of this year. And it is anticipated, one would assume, that's going to be for his reelection. Now, we'll get to what he spent it on here in just a moment, because what he spent it on was fascinating. But the first question you got to ask yourself is, Mike Braun just wrapped up his first year. It was a disaster of a year. I mean, by every tangible measure, Mike Braun, the governor of Indiana, was a colossal failure. Like, is there anything Braun did where you're like, boy, knocked it out of the park on that one? I mean, there's some areas where like, okay, that was a little better than what we had, or that was a little, but the big stuff, any of the big stuff in year one where you're like, damn, he was on fire. Braun was freaking amazing. I can't believe Braun did that well or got that thing done. Anything? The answer is no. And yet, he was still able to raise $1.1 million. Now, you got to ask yourself, the guy's 3 years out from his reelection, 2 years till he starts campaigning in earnest. His first year was a complete failure for the people. Why would somebody give him any amount of money, much less the sort of donors it takes to garner and giving the amounts that it takes to garner $1.1 million in donations? And the obvious answer is many of those people give because they want something. They want something from him that comes at the expense of you. People don't give to these politicians because they like them. They give to them because they want something. They want a favor. They want a policy. They want legislation. They want an executive order. They want to be able to have the ability to go get those things. You and I, we don't have that. I mean, look, I've never socially hung out with Mike Braun. I think twice I spent about an hour in a room with him in private talking to him. Taking my head and smashing it against that fabulous studio wall that Jason and Ethan built would be less painful than having to do that again. He's not fun to be around. And yet he somehow managed to raise $1.1 million. Now, what's fascinating is what he spent it on. According to the Capitol Chronicle, Braun's political operation directed $750,000 toward the Republican primary defeats of several state senators over redistricting. He didn't spend it getting rid of senators because they voted against property taxes. He didn't spend it running television ads, lobbying people to call their senators, vetoing the bill, calling a special session. He didn't spend it on people who have voted for utility increases. He didn't spend it on people who have propped up the IEDC with millions upon millions of dollars clearly going to corruption, to unethical behavior, to just wasting money, propping up rich people. He didn't do any of that. He didn't spend it going after senators who so botched up Medicaid and FSSA that we're cutting reimbursement rates for parents who look after the severely disabled kids. He didn't spend it on going after senators. Now, they started mentioning the gas tax later when it helped them defeat these people on redistricting. But all of that money went to help Donald Trump. Got $1.1 million, spent $750,000 to help Donald Trump. Braun's campaign reported ending June with about $3.1 million in the bank. Now, when we come back to, I always said, Rob, what would it take for you to run for governor? And I've said a party with primary ballot access and $10 million. This is why. Look at the amount of money these politicians, because if I ever ran, guys, I ain't running for show. We're running to do damage. And I can assure you, we would run the most fun campaign that has ever been run in this state's history by 10 million miles, and it wouldn't be close. People would remember the ads we do and the events we do forever and ever. But the point is to be remotely competitive. That's what you got to do, because look at the money the guy's got. That's what he's got on hand after he spent a whole bunch of it currying favor with people. $3.1 million and the power of the incumbency. When AOC talked earlier about the rigged system, this is what she's talking about. How in the hell does a guy with a record as bad as Braun's sit on $3.1 million? You certainly didn't get the money because everybody, the public, was very happy with the job he was doing. He got the money because a select group of people with select causes are very happy with the job he's doing. 2 years out of any sort of campaign, he's sitting on $3.1 million. Look at the money Todd Young was able to raise. He's sitting on like $7.5 million, I think was the number. How are you going to go up against that? Any of these politicians that are worth anything are able to spend their time in office garnering a massive head start, and it's true for any of the politicians, on any person who would dare to challenge them. By the way, that number, that Braun number of the cash on hand, $3.1 million, according to the Capitol Chronicle, it's at least $500,000 more than the three Republican governors that preceded Braun, Holcomb, Pence, and Daniels. I don't think there's any person living on this planet who would be like, Mike Braun is a better governor than Mitch Daniels was. And yet, look at the fundraising. Josh Kelly, Braun's chief of staff and top political advisor, said that Braun has built, quote, the strongest war chest in Indiana history while raising millions more to supercharge the state Republican Party back winning candidates in primaries. Well, not to throw cold water on all of this, but the two you wanted the most, Greg Good and Spencer Deary. Now, Deary's still pending a recount, but at least after the first votes were totaled, they won. Kelly went on to say, Governor Braun's leadership is putting Indiana Republicans in a strong position for the midterms and preparing him for a dominant reelection in 2028. Someone should really tell this idiot, Josh Kelly, that Republicans can already control everything in our state. I love this. Governor Braun's leadership is putting Indiana Republicans in a strong position for the midterms. You already have supermajorities in the House and Senate, moron. And it all happened way before you got there. I loved this. So, Linda Rogers is one of the senators. I love how a lot of these people, as long as they're the club, they're okay with the club. But then once they get pushed out of the club, then they suddenly feign outrage over how the club operates. So Linda Rogers is one of the senators who lost her reelection. She lost her primary. She voted against redistricting. She said, quote, it was very disappointing and disheartening how she was targeted by fellow Republicans. Quote, I guess you kind of feel like you were stabbed in the back after you devoted your working time to help the people of the state. Like, it's all news to her now that you're only as good to these people as whatever you do in the moment. The same club that she's been a part of, the same club that she's propped up, the same club that she's emboldened and been all for, now she's concerned about it because it happened to her. Not because it happened to other people, but because it happened to her. Remember a couple of years ago, John Jacob and Kurt Nicely, the two state reps who were vehemently against the COVID lockdowns, the mandates, the two that were vocal about it. What happened? The Republican Party essentially spent $1 million to get rid of the two of them in a primary, not in a general election, not we're backing Republicans in a general election, in a primary. I didn't hear Linda Rogers say anything about that. The two guys who were right on COVID, who spoke up during COVID, what happened to them? They got $1 million spent against them and defeated. I miss Linda Rogers, and I pay pretty close attention. I miss Linda Rogers bitching about how, what was her quote here? Very disappointing and disheartening. I guess you kind of feel like you were stabbed in the back after you devoted your working time to help the people of the state. Well, I think John Jacob and Kurt Nicely felt like they were trying to help the people of the state, Linda Rogers, by, opening up their businesses. Letting people go to work. Not forcing people to wear a mask or stand 6 feet apart or whatever other goofy ass, ineffective rules the government came up with. Rogers went on to say, it was very difficult to get my message across when this dark money really took over. There was nothing I could do, and I would see it constantly on TV 3 or 4 times an hour, that I was a rhino loser and I allowed Chinese to buy our farmland. They were just false statements. Yet people are thinking, well, is it true? Once you hear it over and over again, you start to believe things. Welcome to the club, lady. The very club you've been a part of, the very club you propped up, the very club you were okay with until it turned on you. By the way, according to the Capitol Chronicle, the ad tracking firm Ad Impact reported $13.5 million in total Indiana Senate broadcast advertising, which included $5.2 million by Hoosier Leadership for America, which is the Jim Banks linked nonprofit group. It's like the criminal. They're not sorry they did it. They're sorry they got caught. Linda Rogers isn't sorry that it happened to John Jacob or Kurt Nicely or any other conservative that's been targeted over the years. She's sorry it happened to her. She got burned by the very system she's been so proud to be a part of. Hey, Anthony Gary owns Indy Dwell Real Estate, and they're a new sponsor here on the Rob Kendall Show. And Anthony, he doesn't just show houses. He finds you homes with everything you're looking for, explains your options, and gets you offers accepted without you losing sleep or sanity. Anthony's an expert negotiator, ready to help you achieve your real estate goals. By the way, Anthony's going to be with us tomorrow. You're going to see him in person. He is so into good government and a good home buying experience. He has found out what these referendums are going to cost people in different communities, and he's going to reveal those to us tomorrow. You guys are going to love Anthony. You'll never be handed off to an administrator. You get Anthony from the start to the finish. You get the owner. Put Anthony's expert buying strategy and experience to work for you. Call or text Anthony Gary, Indy Dwell Real Estate, 317-756-1159, 317-756-1159. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, let's talk about the hypocrisy of the GOP. Let's talk about how Braun, Rokita, they're all for getting rid of DEI and only promoting people based on merit, except in the power structure of their own party. Jacob Stewart with a very, very interesting column about that at IndyStar. Plus, Jason will have the best YouTube comments of the day, brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing. We're taking it all the way home. Hour 3 in full swing. We'll be back. You're watching Rob Kendall Show.
I'm Anthony Gary. I started Indy Dwell Real Estate because too many friends, family members, and neighbors had real estate experiences that lacked compassion, explanation, and expertise. You deserve someone in your corner with the heart of a teacher, simplifying every step of the buying or selling process. When you hire me, you get me. Start to finish, you'll never be handed off. No stress, no surprises, just the expert guidance and results you deserve. Anthony Gary, Indy Dwell Real Estate. Call or text 317-756-1159. 317-756-1159.
Right now, everything's expensive. That includes things you need around the house. If your water heater, water softener, or well pump goes out, or even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. John is a Hoosier lifer who takes pride in and stands behind his work. That's why all basic services and repairs with Black Sheep Plumbing come with a 2-year parts and labor guarantee, with water heaters having a 6-year parts and tank guarantee. Call or text Black Sheep Plumbing for all your needs today and speak directly with John, the owner. 765-315-7558. That's Black Sheep Plumbing at 765-315-7558.
Buying a home or thinking about refinancing? Work with someone local who understands the central Indiana market. Gary Tedrow with Verity Mortgage helps homebuyers and homeowners explore options for purchasing, refinancing, or even consolidating higher interest debt through their mortgage. Gary's approach is simple, clear advice, and personalized guidance, so you can make confident decisions. Visit loansbygary.homes to learn more or get started today. You've got nothing to lose but dollars on your mortgage payment. So call for a free, no-obligation quote, 317-695-5179. Gary Tedrow, NMLS number 179207 with Verity Mortgage, NMLS number 70345, an equal housing opportunity lender.
With a lakefront view in beautiful Brazil, the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage is a little out of the way, but totally worth the trip. Down home, made from scratch food, just like the good old days at Grandma's. When you visit the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage, you'll leave more at peace than when you came in. Open 5 to 8 for dinner on Friday and Saturday, and Sundays 11 to 1:30 for the buffet. You must experience the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage. Call 812-443-3003. 812-443-3003. Hey guys, welcome back. It's the Rob Kendall Show. Thanks for joining us. If you haven't done so yet, you can really help us out by hitting that like button. Like, share, and subscribe. That's how we grow the Rob Kendall Show. Every single day, we're totally dependent upon you. If you haven't done so yet, you have to wait till the end of the program. Just give that a little bitty thumbs up. That really helps us out throughout the course of the show and the on-demand and all the podcasting and everything else. We're going to tell you about this article in the Star about the hypocrisy of the Republicans going after the black and women-owned businesses, yet promoting their own people based on some of those same things. Before we do that, though, you guys got a masonry color mismatch? Previous repair catching your eye? Not happy with the brick color in your home and ready for a total makeover? Bramwell McKay Property Services and Consultants offer specialized masonry staining and recoloring. Whether you want to seamlessly blend repairs or completely transform your home's exterior, want to build something new? Bramwell McKay's 40-year master masons design and construct custom patios, sidewalks, outdoor summer kitchens, archways, entryways, and more. Bramwell McKay, BRAMWELLMCKAY, BramwellMcKay.com. Beauty built to endure. Okay, so remember last week came down that the governor, with an advisory opinion from the Attorney General, Todd Rokita, via executive order, struck down Indiana's preference that it had given for 40-plus years to minority and women-owned businesses. So basically saying there's a scoring system when you apply for a state contract, grant, whatever, and women and minority-owned businesses move to the front of the line. All things being equal or close, the minority and women-owned businesses were going to get first crack, first shot, first opportunity. And Rokita came out, rightfully so, and said, hey, based on the 14th Amendment, this is unconstitutional. You can't give preferential treatment in any way. You can't deny people, and you can't give preferential treatment based on sex or based on race. I recommend we strike this issue down. Now, Rokita doesn't have the ability to do that on his own. He's just a lawyer. As I was just telling me in local government, I would ask an opinion on something. The lawyer would say, well, I'm just a lawyer. Not my fault if you screw it up. And so based on that recommendation, Mike Braun struck down the preferential treatment that for 40-plus years had been given to minority and women-owned businesses. Now, interestingly enough, and something that is really pissing some people off, they kept the exemption for veteran business owners. And a lot of people are upset about that by saying, well, wait a second. If I'm a woman veteran, I get preferential treatment based on being a veteran but not a woman. And if I'm a man veteran, I get preferential treatment being based on a veteran. But if I'm Rob Kendall, I don't get any preferential treatment. How does that make any sense? And so there's a lot of people that are very upset based on the fact that they also didn't strike down the veteran component of it as well. But our old pal Jacob Stewart over at the Indy Star has a fabulous piece, which you can read today, about the hypocrisy of Republicans in Indiana when it comes to DEI, where essentially with this Rokita recommendation and then Braun action via executive order, they're saying do as we say, not as we do. Here's what Stewart wrote. Governor Mike Braun has made battling diversity, equity, inclusion a key part of his agenda. Most recently, he ended some race and sex-based goals for state contracts, following a non-binding opinion from Attorney General Todd Rokita that argued such preferences were discriminatory. Both men, however, are leaders in a political party that requires sex-based preferences in its organizational structure. The Indiana Republican Party mandates gender balance in leadership roles. So basically what this is relating to is the county or state chairmanships, county or state leaderships require that men and women balance each other out in these positions. So if you have a man in a chair, you got to have a woman in a vice chair. If you have a woman as a chair, you got to have a man in the vice chair. He goes on to write, the so-called, quote, gender rule requires party and committee chairs and vice chairs to be of the opposite gender. That includes two members of the state. That includes the two members the state committee elects to the national committee. Precinct committeemen and vice committeemen are excluded from the rule. That means that if a man is elected as a county party chair, highly qualified men are unfairly excluded from consideration to become vice chairs and vice versa for women. So the exact level of discrimination that Todd Rokita said, and then Mike Braun backed up with executive order, were unconstitutional in their state laws, they're saying are perfectly fine for the state party to abide by. The Indiana Republican Party platform professes a belief in meritocracy, or that, quote, the opportunities one has access to should be dictated by ability and character alone. Except when it comes to nominating party leaders, which is the exact opposite. Stewart writes, the gender rule is plainly a quota system that provides an opportunity based on sex rather than ability and character alone. It guarantees women obtain a disproportionate share of party leadership roles compared to their involvement in the party. Bingo. Do as we say, not as we do. We mandate that the state not promote women just based on them being women. But we mandate that our party promote women just based on them being women. Attorney General Todd Rokita said the program that creates sex-based preferences in state contracting decisions, quote, insults other Hoosiers by suggesting they cannot compete on a fair playing field. Stewart goes on to write, suggesting Republican women need preferential treatment because of their sex, while other women don't, is patronizing. Bingo. This is the height of hypocrisy. And it also shows either one way or another, it's all political. Either the striking down, the recommendation to strike down by Rokita of giving preferential treatment based on someone's sex or their gender was all political, or the party itself is playing politics. Now, look, they can do this because they're a private club. That's how they get away with it. But it's also saying that the party itself is totally playing politics by not practicing what it preaches, by making their own rules to promote women based on them being women, while at a state level, which is run by Republicans, saying that's unconstitutional. You can't do that. Hypocrisy at the highest order. Great job by Jacob Stewart to call it all out. Hey guys, coming up this week, if you're looking for a weekend away, an opportunity to get away, consider checking out the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro and Cottage. You know, we tell you all the time about how great the food is at the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro. But did you know there's also a cottage where you can spend a weekend away right next to the restaurant on the water in the woods in beautiful Brazil? That property is gorgeous. The cottage offers 3 bedrooms, 2 baths with spa-like tile showers, full kitchen, living room with a fireplace, laundry facilities, and a full deck overlooking the lake. Oh, and by the way, Andy, the owner, who did our fabulous sign, one day to the next, I never know what shoulder it's going to be over. Andy, who did our fabulous sign. When you stay at the cottage, he brings you breakfast each morning, 8:30 a.m. in a picnic basket. Plan the perfect weekend away at the scenic Honeysuckle Hill property on the water in beautiful Brazil. Book the weekend away by calling 812-443-3003, 812-443-3003. See everything for yourself, what it looks like, get a sort of a virtual tour at their website. Just Google Honeysuckle Hill Bistro, or you can type it in yourself, honeysucklehillb.com, honeysucklehillb.com. All right. I'm done. I've had enough of you people today. It's time to bring in the bullpen. We go to the best bullpen reliever in all the land. Producer Jason joins us now for the YouTube chat, brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing. Producer Jason, hello.
That is correct. Black Sheep Plumbing. If your water heater, water softener, well pump goes out, even if your toilet stops working, you could be looking at a major expense. Don't let your next call to a plumber break the bank. Call John at Black Sheep Plumbing. Black Sheep Plumbing says thank you to all military, firefighters, and police officers with an American Heroes discount. Owner John McKinney, give him a call, 765-315-7558, 765-315-7558, Black Sheep Plumbing.
Bingo.
All right.
Okay, so here's how the YouTube chat works. In order to be a chatter, to join hundreds and hundreds of other fabulous Rob Kendall Show listeners, all you got to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's it. That's all you got to do. Once you're a subscriber, bam, you're in. Now, I heard it was getting a little chippy today in the chat. People were getting kind of animated. Producer Jason occasionally does have to step in. You can't be fighting with other chatters. We want it to be a welcoming place. Disagreement is fine. Got to behave like a member of decent society.
That is correct, and we'll get started here with C. Mills. How has Rob not said anything about the third hour being presented by John Rust?
I think I did.
Or did I miss it, he says?
Yeah, I think you missed it. I think I clearly, because I said it's brought to you by John Rust, and then I told about the party, the big party.
Okay.
October 3rd.
Steve Green with an E. I think he missed it. There we go. And then Debbie Holcomb, always thankful for John Rust. Josh Richardson, John Rust is the best. Thank you. So apparently maybe they just didn't hear it. Debbie Holcomb.
We read the big announcement to start the hour.
Right. Okay, Rock Laws. Thank you, John Rust. Debbie Holcomb, Black Sheep Plumbing, and Jason. It's that time. Yes, it is. It's that time.
So the way this works, Jason takes the best comments of the day. If you're new here, welcome. And then he reads them back to me, and it sparks further conversation about many of the topics we've touched on the program today, and sometimes new topics.
That is correct. And we get started with Debbie Holcomb this morning.
Yes.
Actually, I did a screenshot last night. Let me pull that up here. Let's see who was first.
Jason's very into the pre-show chat.
I just like to chat. Well, everybody else is into
Jason
it.
at like 2 in the afternoon is like, I need a title for the show tomorrow. It's like, it's 2 in the afternoon. I don't know what's going to happen over the next 8 hours. Jason's very into you people being able to chat early and getting that chat up ahead of time.
Yep. Let me see here. Let me where
do I need to filibuster some more?
No. I've got it. Here we go. It was tucked back in some other things. Rock Laws. There we go. Welcome all to the best producer there is, the Rob Kendall Show. Oh, best podcaster. My bad.
Yes, I could see how you'd mix those
glasses.
up.
It's very small right there. Welcome to the best podcaster there is, Rob Kendall. There we go.
That was first?
Rock Laws was first yesterday.
Oh,
yes,
congratulations.
Yes. Yeah.
Very well done.
Great job. Let me get this back up here where it was.
Very well done.
Okay. So, again, today was Debbie Holcomb. Good morning, everyone. Beautiful people of the chat, ready to start the week off right with some Rob and Jason. Am I really number one in the morning? Outstanding, she says. Yes, Debbie.
You're number one.
Congratulations, you're number one. The old man, 68, follows up with, Happy Monday, everyone. It's supposed to be cooler outside this week, but Rob and producer Jason will keep things red hot inside. Sit down, buckle up, and hold on.
Isn't it wild how hot it was that it was in the 80s yesterday, and I went outside and I was like, oh, man, it's so cool outside.
It was in the 90s yesterday.
Was it?
It's been in the 90s. Well, maybe not. I don't know. I'm no weatherman.
I don't think it was in the 90s yesterday.
The humidity makes it feel
But it's
hot.
wild at the 80s, and it felt like it was cool.
Yeah, well, all the forest fire smoke or whatever, that kind of, I guess, made it feel warmer. Driver 4562. Yes, cooler this week, but we will still have some poor air quality for a few days. Run the sprinklers and watch the Rob Kendall Show.
Excellent. Yes.
Yeah. Kevin Branham. Good morning, Rob and Jason. The air is bad in Greenwood. The smell of smoke woke me up this morning. Everybody's got.
Well, you're in Greenwood. How bad was it?
It just smelled like the usual neighbors burning garbage like they always do. I don't know. C. Mills, good morning, all. Had a fun weekend of going to Double D's and Honeysuckle Hill.
He did it. He did 2. The
Wow.
C. Mills did the 2-fer. He just got on 40 and he went. It was great.
Right. There we go. By the way, Driver says.
And by the way.
Driver says you may want to change that furnace or AC filter if you're smelling smoke inside your house.
Oh.
Just a little homeowner tip there.
Okay.
Well, you don't have to be a homeowner. You can be a renter and change your furnace filter as well. Josh Richardson, the haze over everything outside is pretty unbelievable. All right. So we continue on. LT Wilson. Good day, sirs and ma'ams from Bonita Springs, Florida.
Oh, wow.
Ever been to Bonita Springs, Rob?
No.
I have. I lived in Naples for a couple years. It's just it's like going from Brownsburg to Pittsburgh.
Oh,
that's how close Bonita Springs is.
You ran a radio station, didn't you?
I did with Joe Newman. Joe Newman was the general manager.
So Joe Newman,
forget what the name of that station was.
He was a business guy. He was like a known in Indianapolis. People know who Joe Newman is.
He ran the ABA.
Ran the
the ground.
The reincarnated ABA. Who one of our first gigs that Jason and I had when we started our sports streaming company was I did the weekly talk show for the ABA. And yes, so you ran a radio station down there.
That is correct. Anthony Gary, Indy 12.
Oh, yes, our new sponsor.
Yes, good morning, beautiful people. He's in the chat and would love to sell you a home.
He's going to be with us tomorrow talking about the data, the download, the skinny on how much the referendums are going to cost people.
Awesome. Kenneth Egold, good morning, y'all. Had a great brunch at Honeysuckle Hill Bistro yesterday on my way to Avon with my first tow of my 24 hours on call. Wow.
24 straight hours?
Yeah, you got to sit there and wait for somebody to call, and just as you get comfortable, you got to hop up and take off.
That's horrible.
That's a rough one. I'm sure he gets paid better than we do for not being on call. All right, the Redneck Republican. Morning. It's been a while since I've been able to make a live show. I'm happy to be back.
Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome.
Always good to have you, Redneck. Srock Sandwich, morning, everyone. It's leaving day, listening while packing and cleaning the cabin. Forget what she said she was in, North Carolina.
Oh,
perhaps
she's going home.
The mountains of North Carolina.
Boy, those trips back are always the worst.
They're tough.
It's fun. Going's kind of
There's
fun.
no easy way to get to North Carolina.
No. Depending on what sort of the state you're on.
Long drive. All right, the 06010 board. Welcome to Brickyard Week.
Is it
this week? Huh. See, I don't.
Isn't that amazing how at one point the Brickyard got so popular it was arguably bigger than the 500 itself, and now you don't even know when it is.
NASCAR itself's just really
isn't that
falling
amazing?
Apart. You got a bunch of 18 to 21-year-old kids driving. There's no more Tony Stewarts and all those guys.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, they're just a bunch of young kids.
Why did they
like
do
they're
that?
Going to puff their chest out and fight each other, and they're just, I don't know. It's just like anything. I mean, the young kids are more athletic and more on it, and they're just the old guys apparently died off or they just retired and no longer with us.
I didn't even know.
What's his face died? Bush. Bush.
I didn't even know the race was this week. That's crazy.
I didn't either. The only thing I can tell you about the Brickyard is Jeff Gordon won the first one.
That's right. I remember that.
The nostalgia, I know. When anybody brings up the Brickyard, hey, did you know Jeff Gordon won the first one? Yeah. Okay, well, end of conversation. MLM Warriors, happy July 20th. Today is Space Exploration Day.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is this where I'm supposed to go explore space?
I think so. Charles Ludi, a photo turned up on the internet of Mitch McConnell with Ronald Reagan. I'm suspicious. Yeah. Well, no, he would have been around back when Reagan. McConnell was probably in office when Reagan was.
Oh, I thought they were saying like a current photo, like of him in the hospital.
I think that's what he meant, but I'm saying.
Well, yeah,
the turtle's got to be.
McConnell was elected to the Senate 40 years ago, so he would have been there.
Yeah, he sure would have been. The 06010 board. Why are we talking about dead people? You're talking about Mitch McConnell. He's not dead yet. Steve Green with an E. How about, I'm no coroner, I couldn't tell you for sure, but Steve Green with an E. How about a doctor from the hospital make a statement like they do any other time a high-profile person is in their care? Why no statement?
That's a great point. Was that Steve Green with an E?
That was Steve Green.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yep.
I didn't even thought about that. Bingo, spot on.
Don B, if only we had a device that allowed people to communicate remotely without physically being present. Very true. All this modern technology. We still have no ability. 06010 board. McConnell has plans to be on the betting podcast this fall. I didn't know that. Okay, let's see. What else do we have here? C. Mills in the chat. I do not claim to be a potato salad connoisseur, but because I like potato salad, some people think I am. Did you mention him being a potato salad connoisseur?
Well, he went to Double D's. He got the potato salad. He messaged me how great it was.
Mm-hmm.
I did it in an ad, and they went back to Double D's, and they were like running out of potato salad because they sold a bunch of it because we did the ad.
Mm-hmm.
And then
the potato salad became a very hot product.
Then Ken Eagold told me that Jody brought him some potato salad at the Honeysuckle Hill Bistro.
Mm-hmm.
So now everybody's into potato salad now with all of our restaurants. If you're a restaurant, you have to advertise with us. We deliver.
That's right.
All the restaurants we deliver.
That's
it's
right.
gangbusters.
You know, when it's 95 degrees out, potato salad is kind of refreshing.
Well,
if
you're going to get good, Double D's and Honeysuckle Hill Bistro will be the place to get it.
Old Man 68, Bill Maher. You had a comment about Bill Maher, or from Bill Maher. Bill Maher goes with the narrative of the day. He tries to claim that he doesn't, but he is very sly in the way that it does, so it's not so obvious. He does try to get into the news quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, he's good at it. He's great. I mean, for a guy that just does a show on HBO, he is very shared, very much shared.
All right, Tony, Indiana. Gas has went up every day the last 8 days. Woohoo, he says.
It's going to be fascinating because, August 7th is the last day of the gas tax suspension?
August 7th? Okay.
August 7th,
Right.
I think, is the day.
Right.
Braun says he legally can't suspend it again without the General Assembly. Are they going to just let Trump start taking the hit again on the actual price of gas, or is he going to call a special session and try to suspend the gas tax? That'll be very interesting.
All right, Mad Duck, you were talking about them stealing the election from Bernie.
Oh,
back
yeah.
in 2016.
Yeah.
She says, nope, they didn't steal it from Bernie. They bought it.
Well,
Bernie got his first $1 million home.
He went quietly, didn't he?
Yes,
he did. He did not raise the fuss if someone had rigged an election against you and you caught him red-handed. He didn't really speak out.
Right. The old man 68. I love how lefties refuse to see their hypocrisy in claiming conservatives are fascist while rigging their own system to install their hand-picked candidate. Yeah, both sides. Jim Tennecore, let the Dems eat their own. All right. Josh Richardson, no one should be surprised about what is happening in New York. That was pretty clear when he was running for mayor what he wanted to do to the city, meaning
Mamdani. Yeah, right.
Yep. Okay, let's see. Continuing, Josh Richardson, over 100 likes already. Let's keep it up. Come on, Diego, smash that button already.
Yeah, if you guys have not hit the like button, that really helps us out. Give us that little thumbs up. It really helps us grow the program.
Redneck Republican, back in it. I highly recommend John Rust event. I've been to it the past 2 years. It's always been a lovely experience.
Who was that?
This was the Redneck Republican.
All right. rustforamerica@gmail.com is the email. rustforamerica@gmail.com. You just RSVP, tell them how many people you're bringing, and bam, you're on the list.
Comes highly recommended from the Redneck Republican. Charles Ludi. By the way, Charles, hopefully your OCD is back to normal. I moved over here to the other side of the screen and spent all weekend. I need a day off.
Yeah,
I had a day off.
Came in here, it was all
changed.
changed. You didn't tell me this time. It was a big surprise.
Big surprise for Rob. All right. Charles says, bless AOC's ever-loving low IQ. She doesn't have room to speak of big money with all the donations the Democrat Party gets from Soros.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm saying that, you should take her word as gospel and lift her up and vote for her for president. I just said she hit on a good point about how the system actually works. She's a part of the system.
Correct. 06010 board. Can Rob's car make the trip from Brownsburg to Seymour?
Yeah, it's fine.
Gonna make it there?
Yeah, it's fine. It'll be fine.
Well, Greenwood's halfway, so if you don't make it, you can always
look. My car,
tap out.
Knock on wood. It runs like a champ. I got a few repairs done to it earlier this year.
How many cans of oil would it take you to get from Brownsburg to Seymour?
Oh, I got to put
one.
The only thing about that car, I got to put oil in it. Basically, every 2 weeks. I got to put a quart of oil in every 2 weeks, and it runs fine. It burns oil.
Well, if you take an extra little trip, though, you might have to add an extra little quart.
Oh, yeah, it'll burn. Well, but by the fall, I won't have to have the air conditioning on, so,
Okay. Here we go. Driver 4562, Todd Young's spot. Noticed he did not mention it, but he was a Marine. Maybe he forgot to, or he is up for something soon.
Well, that ad is promoting his public espousing to ban the stock trading. And look, again, our thing here for candidates, it causes whatever, unless it's unless you're got a photo up in a post office or you're on a watch list somewhere, we take money from everyone. And I actually agree with them on the cause. Shouldn't we all agree we should ban members of Congress from being able to trade stocks?
I believe so. I mean, wouldn't change my life, but, what the hell?
Well, I think that's a big part of the corruption is that these guys go into Congress and they can make money off being in Congress.
Mm-hmm. All right. The Redneck Republican, you've got to give Young credit where it's due, as Rob just said. C. Mills, the Duke of Spendingburg, needs to pay someone. That's right. Paid us. Well, he didn't pay us, but we got paid up front. Told Rob, make sure that check clears. Make sure the payment's good. Then I will add the spot.
There is a group and they're on the disclaimer whoose running the ad, as all those ads have to have.
Isn't it funny how this goofy little podcast that's so irrelevant, that has no viewership and no listenership, but these politicians spend money? Huh, interesting.
Or people supporting them.
Right. Driver, Rob, if Todd has the support to do this, then good for us and him, but I see this only getting voter turnout up and not getting it passed for signing.
Well, hopefully he'll be able to encourage his junior senator, Mr. Banks, to join him in such passion, and then maybe you got an Indiana alliance. I don't know. You got to start somewhere.
All right. The 0601 board just paused to do some work. Todd Young advertisement? Question mark. John.
Look, people watch and listen to this show. We've been saying it for months now. I think we've proven that. I think we've defied all expectations of what people thought a podcast could be when we started this 5 months ago.
Yep, get used to the Young spot. Twice a day till election day or somewhere up through there. I don't know. John M., hard to find. I signed up to work and got job cut because of lack of attendance 3 games into the season. Holds over 3,500, less than 200 go to the G League games. So,
the Pacers Arena. The one in Westfield.
Yes, in Westfield. So apparently only a couple hundred folks showing up for the G League, which is probably more than showed up for Joe Newman's ABA league. But still, that stuff, it's great for the first inaugural game, and then people realize these guys aren't even like really good college players. And
the G League guys are, because those are guys that get drafted up to the NBA. That's like the AAA.
Most of them never make it.
No. But I'm saying
guys really ever make it.
At least like with the G
Other
League.
than LeBron's son.
Yes, it worked out well for him. Yes, it is very rare that some guy comes out of the G League and is any sort of dominant force in the NBA. But at least they're guys you could theoretically see in the NBA. But it's like, okay,
it keeps them from having to go overseas.
The Indians are a great example. You're a Hoosier lifer, you'll get this. There used to be a time with the Indians where it was the same guys on the team every year, right? A lot of the time, like in the 80s, and Razor Shines.
That's the only guy I could tell
those sort of dudes. Now, because of the way the call up, call down, the way
nobody watches baseball
works, you're going to the Indians game for Victory Field. That's why you're going.
Haven't been in years.
Well, but I'm saying if people go.
You take the kid once a year.
There's very few people that are
By
like.
the 5th inning, it's like, okay, we've had all the cotton candy, hot dogs, and everything we can take. Let's, been fun. We got to come back. Yeah, we're going to come back. And then,
But most people don't go for the players anymore. I mean, there may be a rookie, a guy that's going to be called up that you're like, hey, I'm going to see him in the majors in a few months, like that. But it's not like you don't get emotionally invested in the guys like when I was a kid. A lot of those dudes, it was the same dudes over and over again. The G League, I would guess, is even more of that where it's different guys from, 1 year to the next.
Charles Ludy, at producer Jason, my OCD thanks you. Side table on the right side, please. Nope, we're sticking with this. Get over it, Charles. I made one sacrifice for you.
Yeah,
no, I think it works out pretty well.
I like this. Yeah, there's more room for people to move around.
No, I think that's
what
he said. Okay, I'm sorry, I misread that. Yeah, he enjoys it. So
yeah, there's much more. You can't see this because you can't see the whole view, but people come in to do the interviews now on our second studio.
Yeah, they had to like step over things or whatever. Now I've got a little cart set up with a camera. It's awesome.
Yeah,
you should all see it. All right. John M., hard to find. I signed up. Oh, we just read that one. The 06010 board. Why does Rob hate libraries?
Do I hate libraries?
Somewhere you mentioned maybe about you didn't like money being spent on.
I think I named every. I just named every. I named every government taxing entity. I think I named them all. They all can do with less money.
Libraries, I think. 06010 board was having a little fun with you there.
Yeah, they're all in it. Libraries are a taxing entity.
I didn't know people still used libraries.
They collect tax money. No, I'm not saying get rid of libraries. I'm just saying every government entity.
My book's in the library.
Is
yours
in the Greenwood?
Yes, my book's in the. Well, it's not the Greenwood Library. It's the Johnson County Public Library.
Oh, there's
the new one.
There's not a Greenwood Library.
They probably have a branch.
Oh, I gotcha.
It's the big new.
Yes,
Johnson
I was.
County
I don't know if it still is. Was in the Brownsburg Public Library.
Yes, if you're cheap, you can go read my book for free.
Oh yeah. All of them?
I think I did give him a copy of all of them. Yeah, had to donate them.
Did you check and see if they were actually in there?
I did not. I haven't been to the library, and
some chick threw them in the
walked
trash
in and handed them to them. They said thank you, and we'll make sure we. I think they rotate them around to the different branches or something.
Oh, that's
not really sure, but you could just go to Amazon and get your own.
What's the name of the book?
It's
You don't even know the name of your own book?
There's a lot of. I've got several of them. what's his name? Manny Barlow
Yeah.
is the detective, yes. And Rob Kendall's character is in the book. You should buy it just to read Rob's character.
Doesn't he repeately challenge the drunk mayor?
The drunk mayor, the alcoholic mayor.
Is a broadcaster.
Yes, he does. And Mike Roberts is the broadcaster's name. He's there for the comedy film.
Yep.
All right, Steve Green with an E. Make lobbying illegal in the term limits bill. He'd like to see lobbying illegal, but Baby Fishmouth points out there is a legitimate reason for lobbying. Legislators are not experts on all subjects. They're not experts on any subject.
That's a good point.
They don't read the bills.
That's right.
They're told how to vote. So there is no need for lobbyists.
Look, I'll never forget this, and I know I've told this story before. In 2014, there was a bill that was going to be harmful to Brownsburg and Hendricks County, and the senator who lost his reelection because of this was carrying the bill for another senator, and it was right before they were going to vote on all the bills. There were a few days left in session, and I went up and saw him in his office, and he was one of those senators that wasn't important enough to have his own office. He had a cube, and he had all the bills tacked up on the
cube,
around the cube.
Right.
And at one point, I could tell he was just tired of me bitching at him, and he finally just looks at me and goes, "Do you see all these bills I have to get through?" And I naively looked at him and was like, "Yeah, how are you going to read all those before the end of session?" Like, not trying to be a smart ass. I was just like, how are you going to read all those? And in like the cartoon where the light bulb goes off over the character, because he just stares back at me. Like, he should have lied, right? He just stares back at me. And I pointed at him. Like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme? I pointed and said, "Oh," I said, "That's the thing. That's the thing. You guys don't read any of this stuff." And he basically was like, "Yeah, we don't read any of this stuff."
And what, are they going to vote against their leadership?
Like, I was so naive. Like, I was like,
Paul?
I was like, "Oh, they don't read them." Like, you don't read anything.
I think Jim Lucas is going to vote against banks. I mean, come on. He doesn't need to read it. It's like, no, I voted for it, and he told me what to tell you as far as why I should vote for it.
It was like, and I walked out there feeling like such a dumbass. I was like, how did I not realize that these guys, I was under the impression like actually.
Oh, no. They're not you. Right.
Anyway.
LD Stoltz, I have a leaky chimney. It's called Indiana. Get in there, Bramwell Mackay.
You need to call him.
Call him. Give him a shout.
Bramwell Mackay.
Yes. The old man 68 at Baby Fishmouth. The issue is lobbyists are writing legislation and submitting it to the staffers, who in turn submit it to the senators, congressmen as their own work.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I didn't.
I'm
not sure how all the intricacies work there.
Yeah, you've got lobbyists that do literally write the legislation, and then they hand it into the lawmakers.
Right.
And of course, they're going to write it.
Right.
For themselves.
Right. It used to be back in the day when newspapers were a thing, and you would submit like your own press releases and stuff.
Yeah.
And you realized, if you wrote it properly, they would just take it and print it and just change the name or put staff writer on it or something like that. So you always had to be careful not to be too glowing. But if you wrote it the right way, you knew the places you could send those, and they would just be lazy because, journalists, and they just put their own name to it or just staff writer. The old man 68 all over it today. In my opinion, if you are a retired school teacher, then you should never be allowed to run for school board. Too many are on boards voting on raises and increases that affect them directly. We've had that issue.
There was a superintendent in Hendricks County. He was a superintendent for one of the school districts, and he was on another community school board. It was like, how in the hell is that okay? Like, what in the world is wrong with that?
Okay, so let's see, what do we got here? Nice show, Rob, says Coach RP.
Thank you, Coach RP. That's
there
new. Sounds new.
Yeah, it's a new one. And then Driver, was that the Johnson County Library or Brownsburg? I assume we're talking about My Books.
Yeah.
That'd have been the Johnson County Library. If we're not talking about My Books, sorry.
My book is in the Brownsburg Public Library.
You have one. Yours
Two
is in
of
the
them.
library.
I think both. They were. I don't know if they still are.
Okay. I wonder if anybody stole them.
I wonder if instead of my book, I keep thinking of Eminem's My Band. My band, my band, my book.
Okay. Kevin Branham. Greenwood Library is across from Mrs. Curl Ice Cream. That'd be on Meridian Street. That's got quite the history of ownership there.
The ice cream place?
Yeah, the guy was not the current owners, and I won't say.
No, just go on.
But there was
on.
Guy got arrested, but not the current owners. The current owners, I'm sure, are fine, outstanding people. Go to Mrs. or Mrs. Q. It's been there forever, like since I was a kid.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, been there forever. Different owners. One of them definitely not there anymore. Boom, boom, boom. Redneck Republican back at it. I believe no matter how partisan an office is, the candidates should have to disclose their party affiliation, talking about the school board, how they don't have to have their party affiliation.
Oh, yeah.
On the signs, which they're the only office that you don't. And what's the justification for that?
It's supposed to be nonpartisan for the children.
Baby fish mouth. So is the issue that they don't have to put their party by their name, or the issue that voters don't do their due diligence?
The issue is that every election should be the same.
Exactly.
We vote for people the same.
Either no R's and D's or whatever, or everybody's got to put one, because again, you can determine,
right?
Whether you, not saying you're an R or a D and like, oh, they're awful. You can determine somebody's affiliation by that, and why. How are you going to? Somebody else pointed it out here. Sorry,
because here's the other part I don't understand. Independent in the state of Indiana, as Ballard's finding out, you run for an independent office, whether it's a town office or whatever, you got to get signatures. We don't have to on school board, and you can put up you're an independent. Well, how does that work? Like all the offices be the same. Do them all the same. Whatever we're going to say we're going to do, that is ridiculous. That the office that spends the most money, which is the school system, and they have special rules on how we elect people who run the school system.
And we know why they don't put an R and D.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. MLM Warriors, tell Rob I sent an email to the chicks on the right requesting Mock to Zoom call with the Rob Kendall Show.
Great.
Have you heard anything?
I've heard nothing.
Okay.
I've told you she's not going to do it, not because she's mad at me or whatever. Mock doesn't work unless she gets paid.
Well, how much does she need to be paid? Do we have a policy, no pay for interviews?
Yeah, we're not paying.
Yeah, we're not paying Mock. Sorry.
I don't blame her, right? Like she likes getting paid. If she's going to do media, she's going to get paid. And this is some national show, they might do that. But I'm just telling you, I appreciate everybody doing that. If I hear from her, I'll let you know, but I doubt she's going to do it.
Okay. Josh Richardson, listen to the lobbyist, not the people who voted for me. Brilliant. I get it. He listens to the money. It's just such gross behavior.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
The lobbyists apparently have to educate them. Oh, wow. We're already... Okay, so here we go, Rob. Jim Tennecourt, great interview with Jay Hart.
Yep.
I think there are more and more people thinking like Jay. Steve Green with an E. The Hart segment was really good. Boom, boom, boom. Kevin Branham, hit that like button. Government people, we know you're watching. Bowden JM, I keep missing the Young commercial. It'll actually, there's two of them. And
well, luckily it's available on demand. You can go back and watch it anytime you want.
All right. And
first one was in break one.
Bill Neville went to Double D's on Friday, had the catfish. It was really good. Tried the potato salad as recommended. It was good, but I thought the coleslaw was even better.
Excellent.
All right. And by the way, Steve Green with an E, the young spots are hilarious. Upland Sandy, Rob, you shouldn't host AI-created ads for the show. They do look a little... Okay. Sue Seifert, funny Young as a tough guy. Debbie Holcomb, wait, was that a Mike Young commercial? No, that was a Todd Young commercial. Redneck Republican, Mr. Clean Marine has me dying. LOL. Steve Green with E, Rust or Bust. And there's a bunch more Rust stuff. C Mills, Tina said Double D's is selling hella potato salad.
Yeah, that's good.
I love you all. And the last one, Josh Richardson, we know Todd Young's people are watching today. Just so they see his ads, hit that like button, y'all.
I think that would be a great conversation with me and Todd Young. Maybe that'll happen someday.
You sent the invite, didn't you?
I've sent an invite.
Well, he's paying us money. I mean, if it's
he's
worthy
not
of
paying
the,
us money. Someone else is paying
somebody
us
else
money.
is. That's very true.
Who
That's
supports
not
him?
coming out of his pocket. You wonder if they knew, if he knew, if it's like
know.
he made a phone call, like, wait a minute, what the hell?
We got to get this studio set up, man. It's time for us to go.
Okay, then. Chat brought to you by Black Sheep Plumbing.
Because I got two interviews to get through. I got to keep everybody on time.
Goodbye.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. You guys have an awesome rest of your day. Thanks for being with us. For producer Jason, I'm Rob Kendall. You've been watching, you've been listening to Rob Kendall Show.